Hi friends, good evening and welcome to IBM TV Podcast this Thursday. This is your host Ankit Khandelwal joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Kalum joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good morning, Kim. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ankit? I'm looking forward to podcasters today because
Yeah,
I gotta say something. Yesterday was unique because we actually had a startup show up.
yeah,
Yeah, so we're making progress.
certainly.
I
I,
know.
uh, I just changed the strategy to reach out to the startups basically. So maybe that strategy is working now. So we have next week's startup also lined up for today. So I think we just need to change the strategy, and that's what we do on podcast this Thursday. And Kim, people are watching podcast this Thursday, but they are keen on watching Gamers Den. And they wanted to be
No.
part of Gamers Den. It's going like great because I got a call from an unknown person today. He knows to me through someone, and he said, "I want to be on Gamers Den." I said, "What is Gamers Den?" He said, "That's your show on IBM TV," and I was like, "Wow." So people are wanting to know more about Gamers Den, but as of now, it's podcast this Thursday, and I think we should start with our regular report from Bill
Uh,
President.
the
Let's
Tower of Power
yeah,
from from the Washington
right here,
D.C.
right here.
From IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, this is your report from Washington. There are 47 days left until the presidential election. There are 99 days left until Christmas in the United States, but first, we have to get through Halloween. Snow let it begin. He said no, then he said no, then he said, and then Biden said. The director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Robert Redfield, testified at a congressional hearing that a vaccine would not be available until late this year or early 2021, and that any vaccinations would not be available for distribution to the general public until the summer of 2021. Then, Trump predicted that a vaccine could be ready next month, meaning 2 weeks from now, and be in mass distribution thereafter, undermining Dr. Redfield's testimony. Trump then called Dr. Redfield confused. Trump also disputed Dr. Redfield's testimony that a mask was more effective than any vaccine. Trump, at his press conference, then said he intended to call Dr. Redfield to tell him. Then, the Center for Disease Control issued a statement announcing that Dr. Redfield indeed was confused. Then, Joe Biden said that he trusts what scientists say about a potential vaccine, but not Trump. As for the actual vaccination plan, people will need 2 doses, 21 to 28 days apart. Double dose vaccines will have to come from the same pharmaceutical company. Mass vaccinations will take weeks, if not months. Initially, the focus will be on healthcare workers and people in vulnerable groups. The vaccine itself will be paid for by billions of dollars in taxpayer funding approved by Congress. In other news, India has added more than 1 million cases this month and is expected to become the worst hit country within weeks, surpassing the United States. India reported 90,123 new cases in the past 24 hours. India also reported that over 1,290 people died in the past 24 hours for a total death of 82,066, which is third in the world. From the Not So Fast column, the president of the European Union's executive arm said Wednesday that the United Kingdom cannot unilaterally change the bilateral Brexit agreement without destroying global trust in the UK. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told EU lawmakers that plans by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to renege on parts of the UK-EU withdrawal agreement is simply Britain throwing its good name to the wind. Quote, "It cannot be unilaterally changed, disregarded. This is a matter of law and trust and good faith," end quote. Invariably twisting the knife, the EU leader quoted Margaret Thatcher when Thatcher said, quote, "Britain does not break treaties. It would be bad for Britain, bad for our relations with the rest of the world, and bad for any future treaty on trade," end quote. In business, the Federal Reserve announced that their benchmark short-term interest rate will likely remain at zero at least through 2023. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said that the job market is still hurting and the outlook is uncertain. Quote, "We will not lose sight of the millions of Americans that remain out of work," end quote, Powell said. Federal policymakers hope an extended period of low interest rates will encourage more borrowing, and spending, though their policy also carries the risk of inflating a bubble in stocks or other financial assets. Finally, the current COVID death toll from Johns Hopkins University is over 196,752 American souls lost and 939,427 global souls lost with no end in sight. That is your report for this day, September 17, 2020, from IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, smart television for a smarter global community, from dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'm Bill Trezevant.
That's a very well rated report by Bill. I think we should invite Bill and discuss more about it. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good, but that was a brutal report, huh? Woo.
Amazing. A lot of details. Bill, you know that, in India, people like to follow a 20-minute capsule report, which is done from one of the broadcasters from US. I won't say the name of the channel. That's very popular because they wanted to have a 20-minute capsule report. But now I think people would follow this one, which is more precise and more towards the thought process. And also, we are covering the world news as well. It's not just US, but we are covering the world news. So that's something wonderful.
Well, that's part of our commitment here at IBM TV to all of our viewers in over 122 countries around the globe. And that is to bring them the news in a digestible way that doesn't make them just want to stick their heads in the sand. So he said, look, today is a he said, then he said, and then she said, and then he said, and then we all said. So, but I'm glad I'm here. You guys were great. Let's get it rocking and rolling. We have a great day. We're doing podcasts. I hand it back to you, Ankit, and thank you guys.
This is U.S. politics.
Yeah.
This is our show. We're not going to have finger pointing. We're going to have.
We're
going to just share the.
That's right. And we're not moving.
Let's learn. That's what we want. And then we have a lot of guests lined up on the backstage, so I'll invite everyone one by one. We have Alexandra Starr from Canada. Good morning, Sasha. How are you doing?
Sasha.
Good morning. Really well. How are you doing?
Okay.
All good, all well. We have Willie here joining us from Australia.
Willie.
Good night, Willie.
Good night.
Good evening, Willie. Good morning.
I'm in Alice Spring at the moment, so it's 30 minutes to midnight. It's a different time zone.
Okay.
Yes. How are you liking it? You're still in quarantine, correct?
Yes. I'm in quarantine. And so I'm
getting
from Hong Kong. How are you doing, Rakesh?
Hello.
And we have a radio master and one of its kind show on IBM TV, Mark Lee, joining us today in the morning. Good morning.
Mark Lee.
Mark.
Morning. Glad to see y'all.
All right.
We have a travel group also joining us from early morning from US. Good morning, Branden. How are you?
Hello. Good morning.
Hey, Branden.
We missed you on Tuesday. How are you doing?
I'm good. I think we've got the internet back up, and we had a leak in the roof, and I think we've got that fixed now. So we're finally pulling the place back together.
You know that Branden will be doing the first hour of show today because he missed it, so he has to feel the feel.
Double down.
Branden, I have a question. What color duct tape did you use to stop the leak in the roof?
Well, they put a bright blue tarp up there for like the first day and a half while they were waiting to have someone come out and do an estimate. And I thought, wow, it looks like it really doesn't look great having a big old tarp on the roof. So it took a few days there.
Okay. Well, as long as you're safe, and we're glad to have you back. So.
Thank you. Yeah, safe and dry.
Safe and dry. And internet
Safe
work.
and dry, that's a great thing. By the way, I wanted to commend Miss Kim Calhoun. I actually popped in and watched her appearance at the movie night with Henry Morales, and she did a spectacular job of representing our fine institution. So I definitely want to say that you were doing a great job and that it was an amazing honor to sit there and watch you talk about International World Peace Day that we are the proud sponsors of. So I just want to step in and commend you for the great job that you did.
Well, thank you for being there, Mark. I've noticed that you have. He's got quite a following, and they really do some really good jobs of showing new productions. What did you think of the new movie coming out, Hero?
Oh, it looks like it's going to be a spectacular movie. I was definitely quite impressed with it. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. It's definitely got a very strong message, so that's going to be really interesting to see and everything. And definitely, I can't wait to see the final products of all of those movies because I've got a chance to see a clips of a few of them, and Hero being one of them. But definitely a great job and all of that. And Bill, I've got to let you know something as well. Yesterday on the online dinner party, we had two guests. We had my longtime musical friend, Sean Dina, but we also had a cosplay person as well as an author. I'm pretty much sure, because they're from Kansas, that if they're not a Trump supporter, they're very close. So it was very interesting for me to try to have to guard my tongue because you know me and everything. So I just let them speak their piece, and they were definitely pro guns and a lot of other things. But definitely it was an interesting experience in my journalism career. So, like I said, I just wanted to let folks know that. But Jay Bird Wells is a very dynamic woman, and she definitely has some interesting opinions. I know this that Ankit popped in and heard a little bit of our conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
So that was an amazing discussion. I was watching Mark's show yesterday at around 4 a.m. India time, and then I just slept while listening to it. So it was a great conversation and online dinner party. And I think you were talking about a mystery guest before we were discussing about something else. So can you reveal about the mystery guest, Mark?
Yes, the mystery.
Like I said, the guests were very much interested. Like I said, we talked about a lot of stuff. They live in Kansas, so we were talking even about the farm industry and how the farm industry is doing because they actually live on a farm. So they were talking about how they needed the guns because of predators, and they made it very clear that they were talking about not just the four-legged predators because they had coyotes and other animals that had killed their chickens, but they were also talking about the two-legged predators as well because they definitely said that they needed that weapon in case those two-legged predators came along because they have a husband and they also have, I think it's 3 kids as well as it's 3 kids, and I believe they were adding either a 4th or a 5th kid, which was their parrot because they also have a parrot that is part of their family as well. And they gave a great, delightful story at the end where the parrot was making comments that might not have been what they were expecting during the family time. So, you know, parrots have a mind of their own also. So that was kind of interesting hearing that delightful story toward the end of the program. And we did have our mystery guest as well. And one of those mystery guests is one of the folks that will be appearing at World Peace Day. So like I said, we've had the mystery guest yesterday, and of course, it's done now, so there's no more mystery. But the mystery guests were definitely Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley, we know, was the Wild Wild West pioneer. And then the other mystery guest will be appearing on World Peace Day was none other than Shakira. So I put up a picture of Shakira at the end. So that was our 2 mystery guests. I told you I was going to have somebody from Latin America. So Shakira was the person from Latin America.
And I hate that I missed it, but I was working all through doing meetings all night, and I'll watch it later. But congratulations! What a wonderful set of mystery guests. Annie Oakley. Shakira. But tell us a little bit about Annie Oakley. What did you think about her?
Oh, Annie Oakley was a truly amazing woman. What I did not know, because part of what I do is I do research on these folks, but apparently she offered the government a chance to have a militia made up of women. So it was going to be, she was going to provide the guns, she was going to provide the ammunition. This was during the Spanish-American War. So she offered, I think she sent a letter to the president, and whoever the president of during that time actually never responded. So that did not happen, but she offered that as a opportunity. And of course, she was involved with the Wild Buffalo Bill show and everything. So that was some of the clues as well. So there were a number of clues that I gave folks. I thought that they would get it, but unfortunately they did not. But definitely she also had a very good relationship with Sitting Bull. He offered her a moccasin. And one of the reasons that he offered her that moccasin was because he basically adopted her as his daughter because he felt that they had a very similar spirit and everything. So when we talk about the true Renaissance woman, Annie Oakley was truly a Renaissance woman and did a lot of great things during her lifetime. So it was really amazing learning about her But it was also amazing learning about Shakira. I mean, of course, everybody knows her as a performer, but she is also quite an activist. She's involved in the fight against child poverty and things of that nature. She's definitely a fan of great authors. As a matter of fact, one of her favorite books is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. So definitely that was interesting to learn that as well. So there were a number of facts that I gave folks as they were reading the scrolls, because that's how I give the clues and everything on our banners. So they, if nothing else, if folks go back, they cannot win the prize because it's after the fact, but they can learn some very interesting facts.
Okay.
Awesome sauce. I just think it's really cool. I'm definitely going to have to watch it. But when you talk about, all of these things, we definitely should watch it, because that's some serious interviews right there. So, Branden, do you ever get a chance to do mystery guest in your travel? Can we get some mystery guest on your travel?
We sure, yeah. Maybe we can get some mystery guests in there.
Okay.
Hopefully
we'll
have
start
some
this mystery guest game. I love it.
I know. What a good suspense mechanism.
Right. Well,
Right.
Mark has been doing radio since he was born. So his family owned the radio, network here, and he literally was born into all of this stuff. But I just love the idea of mystery guest or mysteries, right? It's that curiosity gets the best of you. But let's talk about some of the things going on in the world. Rakesh, what's going on there in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is stabilizing. There's hardly any issue in terms of COVID. And I think even the economy is doing a little better. There was that bit of negative press about things, and but as such, nobody here is too worried about the acts and things like that. But I haven't seen anybody planning to leave Hong Kong because of that. So it's there's no problem with Hong Kong at all, to the best of my knowledge. I went to City today to see my doctor. No problems at all. Absolutely smooth. I have to go every week, so I'm not seeing any major issue at all.
Rakesh, I have a question.
Sure.
Over here, at least in the West, we've seen all of the protests and the people who are pro-democracy in Hong Kong. And they've been out in the streets, and I think the protests have been continuous for almost a year. What's the status of that right now? Are they still marching in the streets each evening, or what are they doing, if anything at all?
I didn't see any today. I've heard some reports, but I haven't seen any. When it was in the peak of, before this law was passed and things like that, when it was in the peak, there was disruption in the city. That was almost 8 months ago. But now there's no disruption at all. You can move around freely, except for the risk of traveling by public transport, which heightens the risk of COVID. I usually drive around. I used to travel a lot by public transport, but I drive around mainly to avoid the risk of catching COVID. That's all. Otherwise, even while I was driving, I never faced any sort of inconvenience. The parking lots are good everywhere. The shopping malls, there's a huge shopping mall, Ocean Terminal. No problem. Everybody's just moving around like normal with masks, but that's it.
So,
Rakesh, is the tourism back in Hong Kong? I mean, are people coming to Hong Kong for travel from China? Because generally, if you talk about Hong Kong, there are a lot of people who are in Hong Kong outside. Okay,
people from the China traffic is very much there. You can see that retail is picking up, and retail is picking up. Of course, there is an institution called Hong Kong TV Mall, which is you can sort of place orders and just go and pick it up from various outlets. That has become quite popular because their prices are better. They don't stock much, so there's no inventory cost. And but you place an order on their website, and the moment it reaches the point at which you order it, to reach. You just go there and pick it up, and yeah. And that is a funny comment from from Kim. But those sort of things. There's been some structural changes in terms of the patterns of purchase, but otherwise, no issues at all. I've been walking around the malls where on the weekends, and my birthday is coming up. We're going to have a small little family get together in hotels.
Well,
With
happy
only,
birthday.
it's on the 25th of this month. So still
Well,
some way off.
National Lobster Day here in America.
Yes, I was thinking. I'm glad I'm not a lobster.
Understood
It's a
that.
lobster roast day. I want to share a story about animal rights. Okay, so we this is definitely not in a lobster favor, right? And in North Carolina, we're really kind of strange. And on New Year's Eve, most people drop a ball or shoot fireworks on the countdown of New Year's Eve. Well, North Carolina, we got to be a little unique, and we don't just drop a ball; we drop a possum. And but they treat the possum really nice. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, right? You get out the bill and you talk to Bill, right? Nobody sues over bills, right? But possums treated really good, fed, kept in a cage, right? Definitely not in the midst of the wilds where he could be killed or ran over by a truck. So, but they put him in this cage, and they don't just drop him, right? It's a slow.
Oh, okay.
Slow drop.
They call it the possum drop. So, and so some activists got together. They hired a bunch of attorneys. I mean, this has become and then the possum got legal representation paid for by the state. It's like $150,000. So the state was paid $150,000 to protect the possum's right. Am I right? Mark, you've heard about this, right? So
I did hear about the possum drop. You were right. The possum drop. Now, let's be clear. The possum drop does not happen in all of North Carolina, and it's definitely more in some of our rural kind of areas and some other communities. Now, in Raleigh, the state capital, we drop an acorn. So let's be clear about that. In Raleigh, it is the acorn drop and everything. So we kind of borrowed from the Big Apple, and instead of dropping that apple and things of that nature like they do in times where we drop an acorn.
But the thing is that the possum got poverty representation, and it's I think I read somewhere it was $100,000 or something over that they're representing the possum's rights, and I'm like, it'd just be easier just to say you can't drop the possum anymore. But no, they had to make this big legal thing. But I just thought, when you talk about animal rights, I'm wondering, when is somebody going to come in and go, hey, wait a minute, why are we calling this International Lobster Day when we're eating them?
Right. Right. Branden, you must have interesting stories about New Year's travels and rituals. What do you have?
Oh man, I have so many. Actually, just this last New Year's, we spent it in London, and that was the week that I had my passport stolen.
Wow.
While I was there in London. So I got to spend most of January of this year running around France like a madman to different embassies and consulates to get a new passport and to get my visas updated and all of that chaos. So New Year's has been, every New Year's, it seems like something crazy happens when you're out and about, when you're traveling.
Oh, it does,
world.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to get all that accomplished during the holiday seasons, because every country has different holiday seasons in that time of year, and different things going on. But yeah, that's an interesting story about losing a passport, and that's one that just needs to have its own show. So you know what to do.
Yes.
Or getting out of the country without your passport. I've done that.
Survivor or terror?
Well, it's a little bit of both, actually. So I did a whole like 20-minute video on my YouTube channel telling the whole story and detailing exactly what I did so that it can be kind of a guide. That became the kind of the joke of my channel there for a while, is that I'm doing all the things you shouldn't do while you're traveling and showing you all the mistakes I'm making so you can learn from my mistakes.
Don't do
But
this.
it was wild. It was wild. I was also traveling for work, so I had lots of different power of attorney forms that needed to be re-signed so different immigration lawyers could get what they needed for work, while I was also, bouncing around to different cities in France and nearly got deported twice. So it was a fun time. It was wild.
All right.
Hey, Branden, my last 3 times of New Year's have actually been quite interesting. I know this past New Year's, before we had the whole COVID incident and everything, I actually spent it at the beach of North Carolina with my family. So I spent it with my dad and his lady friend and their family, as well as my brother and my nephews and some other connections like that. So that was very relaxing, very wonderful, just sitting there on the beach and enjoying that. And then a year before that, I went to Las Vegas, but didn't do the whole strip thing. So I was staying with a friend, and they wanted to avoid the strip, so it was like watching the strip from afar. But I did that last till a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and then the year before that, I had my first experience. Like I told folks here on this panel and others before, I have not done that much international travel. So I did a cruise, and the cruise fell on New Year's Eve. So that was kind of interesting, watching the boat get decked out and the New Year's party out there on the area where they have the swimming pool and the restaurants and things of that nature. So kind of like the main area of the boat. So, but it was really interesting. It was like they had the party, folks got their dance on. I think that as soon as the clock ticked 12:01, I watched, and by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, most of the folks were in their cabin and back home. So it was one of the quickest New Year's parties that I'd ever seen. So I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I expected folks to be more engaged, but they were not sticking around. Like I said, after the clock changed over, we were on international waters. After that changed over, then folks were done and everything. I did have a quick question for everybody, and that's just a question of concern. And have we heard anything from our good friend, Dr. Anthony? Because Hurricane Sally was coming toward that way as well. So I know it's coming our way, but it's only going to dump rain and everything else. But have we heard from Dr. Anthony, and how is she doing, as they had already had one storm?
Thank you.
She's fine, and I generally talk to her every second day. And she in fact shared her peace video as well today. So we'll be playing that video soon. But she's fine. I mean, she'll be planning to move to DC as what the plan is. That's all.
Well, she ran into some challenges just leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, just as she was leaving, she ran into some challenges and had to take care of them, and they delayed her trip a little bit. So I think we were all a little bit concerned about, is she going to get out in time to be able to be safe? I've seen some of my friends who live down in the Louisiana area. I think some of them are actually taking safety precautions and evacuating. I always say it's better to be safe than sorry, right? But if you've ever been caught in the midst of a last day evacuation, it's insane. But one thing I do respect about them, they have to be very careful about this, and they need some sort of emergency lanes. But they turn all lanes leading out, like especially on islands, all lanes are one way. So that way you can evacuate more people at one time.
Right.
You always have to make sure that if they don't really have good emergency vehicle facilities on the island, then an emergency vehicle can somehow or another get down through there. So it's insane because people panic a little bit. And if everybody just sticks to it, right? And if your car breaks down or something, don't panic, let everybody work together. But evacuations can be very dangerous, just like when you see a crowd and they evacuate a building and everybody goes crazy, just move in a flow, right? But you always have one person that's, pushing, somebody gets knocked down, people are tripping over people. And granted, we're all scared. We're all panicked when there's, fire or something. But in these evacuation situations, remember a few things. Don't be on your phone a lot. Leave those lines open for emergencies only. Let's go with the right here, right? Try not to panic. If something happens, take a deep breath. calm down. And then just like wild animals, if they feel you are tense, they're going to get tense. If they sense that you're calm, odds are they're going to come over calm and help you. But try to remain calm. Try to think past your situation. What's the best way to get you, your family, your dogs, your cats, your birds, your pets out of the situation? If you can leave early, please leave early, right? Don't wait to the last minute. And then I'm sure maybe we can get somebody who is in the EMT world to give some other advice. But these are just some of the, but please be careful about how often you use your phone during this time.
Okay.
Yep, great advice. Definitely need folks to be concerned about that and everything. I was just going to come back to real quickly to your possum story and everything, because like I said, that was in rural Appalachian County. And one of the articles that I just found says that it started in the early 1990s as a quote unquote redneck response to the Times Square ball drop in New York City. So it had boomed and attracted hundreds of revelers each new year to watch that live possum drop. And they were seeing that as the alternative to watching the ball drop, which of course everybody knows about in New York City and everything. So that's why they did it, but they did stop it. And like Kimberly said, it was stopped because of the protests that folks were given, the animal rights, as well as a number of other folks, because they didn't like that image that was being presented of North Carolina from the Appalachian area. So that activity was actually happening in Appalachia, North Carolina. So like the Appalachian part.
Okay, Mark.
More of the mountain of North Carolina.
North Carolina. We're rednecks here.
I have to say.
You know, Raleigh does do a classy, beautiful acorn. We get to go polish it that day. They let us each polish it. Everybody gets to come polish it. But I get it. You know, I'm not trying to bring North Carolina down, but nowhere else in the world are you going to hear about a possum drop. You know? And so I just, you know, only in North Carolina, but yeah, it is in the rural part. So, but if Brandon's laughing, because you know, Brandon, you know.
Well, I have to say, what's so funny to me is, you know, of course, I don't know if you've ever been to the ball drop in New York in Times Square. I went up in like 2013, and it was, I mean, it's just chaos. It's just like party central chaos. But in the Village, they have a smaller drop where they put a drag queen in a giant glass shoe, and they drop her on New Year's Eve, so the drag queen comes down. So everywhere's got their own little spin on it.
I all got their own spin and everything.
The little glass slipper going. I like that.
Yes,
yeah, I like that idea too. But Brandon, quick question for you. I had always been told, and I have not had that experience of going to New York City during New Year's Eve. I thought about going there, and that's been on my wish list and everything. But somebody told me that once you go there, you're pretty much confined. Like, you know, there's like really hard to find restrooms, really hard to find other things, because once you're in that confines of whatever's going on, they don't want you to leave. So like they're pretty much, you're kind of stuck there until the celebration is over. Is that the case? And is that the experience that you had, Brandon?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, it's funny when you're there on New Year's. They actually, you get there very, very early. So people who go will oftentimes wear like Depends or diapers for that exact reason, because oftentimes, you know, it's around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning that people start showing up and piling in. And then I don't know the exact time, but I want to say around like 4 p.m. the NYPD actually kind of seal off the area with barricades so no one else can, you know, it's at its capacity. So it can get real crazy. It can get quite nuts. You know, if you're gonna go to something like that, you gotta be committed. You gotta be ready. I'm not crazy enough that I was gonna spend the whole 12, 14 hours in that cluster of people. I was not about to put on an adult diaper so I could pull that off. So we hung out there for a little while and then ended up going up to one of the Skyview decks to watch the actual ball drop from a bit of a safe distance where we could see the crazy people partying and not necessarily be so claustrophobic.
That'd be part of it, everything. Quick question for Willie, because I've also heard great things about Australia and its celebration of New Year's as well. And by the way, I can relate to what Brandon was saying, because as Kim knows, we have a major event in Chapel Hill around Halloween and everything, and they do the same thing. They kind of like block off. They don't want the folks that are outside of Chapel Hill, not even the Durham folks or the Raleigh folks, to come into Chapel Hill, because they are known for having a little bit of a wild masquerade party. I mean, I don't know that they'll have one this year because of COVID, but they have definitely been known to have that in the past. So, UNC has got that kind of reputation and is definitely known for kind of being party central on their main strip. But Willie, what's it like in Australia on New Year's Eve?
We have this secret spot that we go to that we can sit down and watch the harbor and watch all the fireworks. And we've been going back to that spot for like 5 years in a row. So we take my uncle and aunt, we take the 2 dogs, and everybody spread out, and then we watch the fireworks go off. It's an amazing place. And I had to do a wreck to find this place because it's right by the waterfront. And to get there, you have to go through several back streets, then you can find this place. So, yeah. And every year, the same people roll up. So I say, hi.
Don't you just love that, meeting the people every year at the same time like that? I will tell you a really unique place for New Year's Eve if you guys want to put it on your bucket list. It is super, full, but they keep the capacity under slight control, and that's Disney World. I had the best time ever. We flew down on Christmas Day. There was nobody flying on Christmas Day. So we literally had the whole plane to ourselves that day. So we flew down Christmas Day, got there. People were leaving Christmas Day, right? Because they'd already spent their week. So we pretty much had Disney World to ourselves that day, the hotel, and everything. And the crowd started, easing back in from Christmas Day to New Year's Eve. So it was really calm and relaxing. But New Year's Eve, the festivities from that afternoon, with the parades and then the fireworks, and they do 3 or 4 levels of fireworks, and each part has its own. And I managed, I don't know how I got this, but we had a balcony, an open balcony that got to see 2 sets of fireworks for that night. And it was in the Dolphin Hotel. So if you go check out the Dolphin Hotel, the Dolphin and the Swan. But I will never forget that experience in my whole life because I thought it was just very well prepared because, the Chinese are really big on New Year's Day. So, the Chinese had their big New Year's Day celebration going on there, even though it wasn't their New Year's, right? Yeah. But it was so well planned and cool. And you can visit the whole, what do you call it? Epcot, every country, right? Mm-hmm. It was. So I highly recommend that for an experience.
But there's so many amazing places that have great festivals and just great kind of attractions and all of that. I know I went many years ago to Memphis, and of course, one of their hotels has actually got the peacock. So I remember seeing those peacocks that were out there in Memphis, and of course, seeing some of the blues icons and blues hotels and restaurants and things of that nature. So being a big blues lover, that was a great visit for me and everything. But now I'm going to let a little cat out of the bag and everything since we're having this conversation. So, Ankit, is it all right for me to let folks know that on our plans is a show about festivals of the world? Oops, I already did it. So definitely we've got a show coming up about festivals of the world. So, Ankit, you want to tell them about that and how we're going to be talking about this on a more regular basis and not just here on the round table? So I know that's one of the shows we've got planned.
Oops.
So we are just working on a lot of shows. So one of the shows is Festivals of the World. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we are working on a lot of shows. So one of the shows is Festivals of the World because everyone is keen to know what's happening in the other world and what kind of festivals we celebrate and all those stuff. So like in India, we have Diwali is one of the top festivals, but on the other side, you have Halloween and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So we would like to know more about it. And it's a global platform. It's a global show. So we would like to know how people celebrate and how we can also celebrate these festivals virtually by joining all this stuff. And also these festivals gives you a lot of stories about the region, culture and all those things and how we can integrate and talk as a global citizen because there are a lot of learnings as well. And these festivals, we are doing it from past lot of years, and then we just carry it forward and optimizing it in a little bit because, so Mark, you know that, the way we celebrate festivals in India, people are celebrating festivals little similar, but in a different manner in US and other countries. So we are also learning how the festivals are changing during the era of, the digital world and all those stuff. So it would be an amazing show and it will connect to the world real time because festival is something which no one can avoid. Everyone is always looking for a festival and they block their calendars and all those stuff. And a lot of people plan travel shows as well during festivals. So I think Branden knows about it. So people I mean, like they plan 6 months ahead when we talk about long weekend and all those stuff, and then they have the plan stories and all those stuff. So I think that would be an amazing show to come for. But for that, we need a lot of people and a lot of participation, because we also don't have that much out of knowledge that how this is being celebrated. So that's what
Definitely,
it is.
and I think folks will be great when they find out about that show and everything. I want to come back to my friend Rakesh in Hong Kong, because they've got a number of festivals and are definitely a great New Year's Eve celebrator as well. So definitely looking forward to that conversation with him. And by the way, in Durham, we've got our festival on the 19th. So it's a virtual festival instead of a regular festival, because usually I'd be emceeing it, but I'm not. Rakesh, what's going on in Hong Kong with the world over there?
Yeah, we have the Mid-Autumn Festival coming up around on the 1st of October. It is a kind of a harvest festival. So already the prices of certain fruits and things have gone up. I remember in Auckland, around Chinese New Year, we had a lantern festival. I've got some pictures of that. And maybe all of us can send in pictures to Ankit, to sort of form a collage of different festivals. That's something which, just an idea, and a little bit of background about that festival. Just something to discuss for whoever's on the panel at that moment. Just a thought.
I'll find someone from Scotland, because in Scotland they have Hogmanay. New Year's Eve in Scotland is Hogmanay. And I'll get some content on that.
Okay.
I think this will be very exciting, especially if each of us kind of covers, something from our country, and brings it to the IBM TV so that we can share it. We can, round table this as Knights of the Round Table. We can bring forward all the great festivals and celebrations in every country, yes. And look who we have in the house. It's Sharif from the School of Economics. Sharif.
You have to unmute.
Yes.
Sharif, you need to
Yes. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We hear you
How
loud
are you,
and clear.
everyone? Okay, thank
Doing
you.
good,
Thank
Sharif.
you. Yes, I'm good. I'm good, actually. I'm just thinking that when actually we can overcome from this situation, especially this COVID period, because long times all of the peoples around the world, they are under pressures, and many things actually it's not under our controls. Hopefully, from every country we can overcome from this challenging situation. That is my prayer right now.
Well,
And how are things going economically over there in Malaysia? Because like I said, we were talking about festivals, but you are the master of economy down there in Malaysia. So how are things going down there, economically speaking?
Okay, it's economically, try to understand, Malaysia is a tourist country. They have heavily involvement with the other countries' peoples, and most important thing is that in COVID periods they closed the border with other countries. I think they already closed border with 23 countries, many even including India, Bangladesh, even USA and Singapore. So in that situations we have to be positive, and we have to wait when everything's go in a normal life. So as they have a strongly involvement of tourism and this kind of things, especially this industry, I think it will be affected next 1 year, even maybe few years even, I don't know. So vaccine is important. Yeah.
Okay. I guess for the panel, one of the things that was in today's Washington report that I was really concerned about, and that is what we're seeing now around the globe is a rollout of vaccination plans. Now, it's Operation Moonshot in the UK, and then here in the United States, they're calling it Operation Warp Speed. But what's going on that you guys have heard of with regard to potential vaccine mass vaccinations? Sasha?
I think that this issue is probably I would say overestimated, at least that way. The problem is that first of all, we don't know whether any vaccine will work. If it will work, whether it will work 70% as most people believe, or maybe 80, or maybe only 50. We don't know that. We don't know even when it will be available, later this year, early next year, or later 2021. We don't know that either. A lot of people will refuse even to take this vaccine. On the other hand, it's unclear whether there will be enough produced for the mass vaccination. And if there is no mass vaccination, then I see very limited use of the vaccine. And in fact, mask wearing probably will protect you better than all these vaccine doses in any case.
Okay. Willie. Oh. Do they have plans down there in Australia for mass vaccinations if a vaccine is ever produced?
They were talking about it, but I'm thinking that it's next year. The federal government is putting aside funds for it.
Okay.
That's all that I've heard of the news. But it's not going to be anytime soon, like October or November.
Okay. Rakesh, have you heard of anything down over there in Hong Kong?
All that I've heard is that, and I don't know whether this is again feedback loop coming to you, that there's going to be two vaccines. One about a month apart, and the other thing I heard is that most of the vaccine companies, especially the ones in India that are manufacturing a good bit of it, they are stocking up different kinds of vaccines for different companies. Because Russia, for example, has signed a contract with a company in Calcutta to manufacture vaccines. And Oxford has already signed up with a company in Pune, which is in central India. So people are building up stocks of these vaccines pending the approval of these vaccines and the successful trials. So I'm sure there'll have to be some prioritization of people and areas where which are really badly hit. And I do not know the basis on which that prioritization will happen. Various interest groups in India are already reserving stocks of the vaccines. So I don't know whether this is from my sisters in India who keep telling me about these things. So I don't know whether this is happening on a countrywide basis. But this is just based on what we hear about the manufacturers in India. I'm sure there are manufacturers in other parts of the world too who are also going to be as part of this program. I hope, and this is my hope, is that we will, as a species, we will cooperate by optimizing the distribution of this in a fair and sensible way, in a humane way. Right across the world, so that the poor countries are not left out, the rich countries are not left out. It's all nicely distributed. I hope. I feel sad.
Rakesh, I'm hoping for world peace. We're going to celebrate it on the 21st, United Nations International Peace Day. But right now, I'm not quite sure that we're going to get there. But what we can do is this. We can check in with Sharif, because obviously with the stocking up of the vaccines, there's going to be at least some financial impact. And then Branden, I'm dying to hear from you, because if they're talking about not having an effective vaccine until next summer, what that's going to mean to the travel industry, and particularly because the bailout to the airline ends at the end of this month. And that's going to have some repercussions. So while you think about that, Sharif, tell us who's hoarding the money, who's hoarding the vaccines, who's going to make money in this process, and what do you think about it, please?
Okay, basically, I just want to share a few of my experience, because few days ago, I just have finished some sort of meeting and an interaction with Dr. Agarwal. He is, I agree with actually Rakesh, because he is actually CEO of Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. And they are working with MIT and some of the big organizations. And beside that, he is also working with this like the vaccine manufacturer, Punewala manufacturer, what the name in India. So this Punewala manufacturer, first, actually, we have to understand the scientific issues that how many years a natural vaccine take for finish the trial and everything. It's naturally take around 20 years for build up a vaccine. This is the scientific information. And quote and I quote, I can take Dr. Agarwal because he is a very important person to handle this manufacturing things in India with the collaboration of Oxford. Anyway, second thing in Asia Pacific, I think Australia is the first country. The next year, January, I think they're gonna start their trial for vaccine, which is actually producing in Oxford University in Asia Pacific. And I think it's a more than $1.8 billion. If the third trial is successful in Australia, then they're gonna go for buy it from the manufacturer. Beside that, I also agree with Rakesh that supply chain is very important. Let's say in India, actually, media says many things. I want to try to unveil the truth. That's why I directly discuss with those who are strongly involved with research. Let's say in Oxford University, I have my Bangladeshi friend, those who are actually researching inside the lab, even these vaccine things, and try to understand what actually manufacturing and other things. Actually, managing the supply chain, let's say if we think that next year, January, February, whatever it is, we get this vaccine. And it takes around 5 years to manage the supply chains around the world. So it's mean that 2024 or 2025, ultimately it takes. This is the information I have, that managing the supply chain and other things. Besides that, we are finding that many companies, let's say Gavi, they are raising funds, and which is more than $8.8 billion. They get a lot of commitment from around the world. So definitely those who have money, especially example, Middle East, Muslim countries, even Arab worlds, and many more people actually put money on that because this is very good business. This is the fact. So this is very good opportunity for businessmen. But beside that, I'm actually worried how actually media playing role. Even still, we have to remember that AIDS is a virus. Still, we do not have vaccine for that. So that is the point. We have to be very truthful about that. So according to the informations of the Oxford and the Punewala manufacturer, I think I have the informations and I have all of the records from their interview and other thing. It takes around 2024 to 2025 to managing these things.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rakesh, and then we're coming to you, Branden.
Very quick word here. Though AIDS doesn't have a vaccine for it, there are a cocktail of drugs that can effectively deal with AIDS. That's just one point. And the second point was I saw an article just now about something called heparin sulfate, which actually activates the spike protein. And new efforts are to deal with that heparin sulfate, that particular molecule, which is there in the body, in all of our bodies, so that it does not activate the spike protein. So there's several angles. This is just my two pence worth of scientific stuff. I end here.
Yes.
Oh no! Wait, we got to go to Branden. Branden, what does this mean for our movement around the globe? I mean,
you're asking for a bit of a monologue.
No, I don't need a monologue. First, I want to know this. I don't know a great deal, neither does our audience, because you're the specialist in this area. And so, what does it mean for my prices? What's going to happen with when the bailout of the airline industry expires on September 30th? What are we looking at, like in the next, say, 3-4 months?
Well, I mean, at first I would say I love everybody's optimism so far about a vaccine. I am not nearly as optimistic. The fastest vaccine I think that we've ever developed was 4 years for the mumps. So, I don't think it's going to be a miracle light switch that happens. And another good example, I think polio took after the vaccine came out almost 20 years to actually be considered, not a problem in the United States anymore once the vaccine started being distributed. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the census, but we can't even count everybody in our country, let alone get them health care to get a vaccine. So I'm not super hopeful, but the big thing we're looking at now is as you kind of mentioned, the deadline of October 1st.
Right.
The evil deadline. So for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, the airline industries had a bailout package that was given to them. And the part of the deal was that they couldn't basically lay off anybody and do any mass layoffs until October 1st would be the first day they could start doing layoffs. So far I have some numbers up in front of me from Forbes just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about.
Right.
It's a lot.
Right.
We're talking about almost 40% of United's total workforce, United Airlines' total workforce, around 24% of Southwest employees, pilots being laid off, and 33% of their flight attendants. We're talking about a lot of airlines hitting a really hard time. American Airlines revenue dropped about 80% this year from where they were last year. So we're seeing pretty hard hit airline industry. Now I've said many times, and I kind of am a broken record, but I think that what we're looking at anyway, despite what happens with the airline industry, is a really big return to domestic travel. People exploring their own backyard, a rebirth of the American road trip ideals, and in different countries around the world, people finding, maybe the people in the UK are popping down to Exeter for the weekend, and those small seaside towns that fell out of favor in, the 60s and 70s for the tropical destinations are going to see a little bit of a rebirth there. So I think that's where it's really going. We're really headed into domestic travel. Even if the airlines do well and are able to weather this storm, you're going to see a dip in prices right as soon as international travel picks up again, but then you're going to see them go through the roof. So that combined with the amount of people out of work, I think is going to mean domestic travel is a big
right.
thing.
They're going to try to make up their losses very rapidly with super high prices and reduced routes, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a kind of a big curve. So I think you're going to see once international travel is kind of safe again, you're going to see the airlines have really, really cheap prices to try and lure people back out to say, come travel, buy a ticket now. Even now, I think Americans offering, you can buy miles to redeem later for, a quarter of what they used to sell them for. So I think once you see a vaccine, you're going to see airlines say, here's all these great deals for 3 months, 4 months, whatever they can afford to do. And then you're going to see prices go way, way up.
Wow. Well, Kimberly, what do you make of all of this?
Well, so, when the pandemic started and they came out with this federal stimulus package, Nick and I went out and looked at the laws that they, the bill that they were putting in place. And we noticed that they gave a hefty package for the airlines. And actually, there were 3 packages set aside for the airline. So if they didn't get one, there was another, right? So there was definitely a protection for them. I am very concerned economically for, whenever somebody says, the big layoff day, because I worked in telecom industry and we hated that term, right? The pendulum swinging, it's coming soon. What kind of packages are they going to be providing these people? Because this is not just an impact on the industry itself now. Now it's an impact on us economically. All of these people are going to be unemployed with no job to go to. That's huge. I mean, when you're talking, over 20% of a large industry or large company, that's a huge flow of unemployed people. Where are they concentrated in certain areas? Is that going to bring a huge draft down on that economic region? So these are the things that, I'm sorry, but this is what goes through my mind. I would like to sit there and go, wow, but I agree with Branden. Turn this around a little bit. Use this as a time to explore your own backyards. Branch out, because one of the things I learned is I really didn't know Raleigh very well. I would travel all over the world and country, all of these different places. Somebody go, well, what's fun to do in Raleigh? And I'm like, I have no idea. So,
but I'm gonna go find out because I got no choice, right?
right, but I started not just Raleigh, North Carolina. I got a book just like I would travel guide a few years back with my best friend. Our kids graduated from high school together, and we're like, you know what? We don't have kids to do with anymore. Let's 1 week in a month. Let's go out and explore North Carolina. So, we would go explore the wineries. We would go explore, and it was fabulous to find all of these creative ideas, how they turned the tobacco farms into vineyards, how they converted, certain wooded areas and kept them wooded, but they were just great places to go stay. This one guy, he turned his farm into tree houses for people to come visit and stay. So there are just so many things you might not know about your own backyard. And I'm still exploring Raleigh because it's growing every year, except this year. But and it doesn't have to be just about restaurants. It's arts, right? We always go food first,
Right.
but there's so many arts to explore, and things are starting to open up a little at a time. But Bill, what about there in Washington for you, Bill?
Oh well, travel is the name of the game right now because it's campaign season, so everybody's out on the trail back home. So DC is relatively quiet, but I can tell you that at least I intend to go camping at some point. But what I'd like to do is simply this. A couple of quick questions. I think, Mark, you had a comment about the cruise industry and them losing jobs. What was that comment?
No, I was actually curious. I wanted to know from Branden how the cruise industry is doing, because I know about the airline and things of that nature. And of course, I was on that cruise about 2.5 years ago, something like that. So I know that there was a lot of big cruise ships and everything. So I was wondering how many of those are going to survive. So that was my question to Branden. And then just really quickly before getting Branden's answer and everything, to Kim, there are some great things here in North Carolina, because there's even a aviary, like a big bird area that's in North Carolina that a lot of folks don't know about, but it's off the beaten path, and there's like a wildcat reserve. So there are a number of great things here in North Carolina that when you do that research, you find out about those. So I've actually been meaning, even long before COVID, to go to that aviary, which is like a big bird area. So I've been meaning to go to that for a while. But Branden, that was my question about the cruise ships.
Okay. All right. Well, Branden, we have the cruise ships, and then we have questions about where can people go locally. What are your big spots that would be domestic here in the United States? But cruise ships, and then hot spots.
Well, I mean, I would say, I have good news for you, Mark, and that is that I spent about 4 years traveling full time. So I have a whole playlist of videos on my YouTube channel of USA city guides, how to do New York on a budget, New Orleans on a budget, things to see in different cities, and some small cities too, things to do in the middle of nowhere that you might think there's not much. So I always encourage people to take a walk. That's what I always tell people. Go walk.
Yeah.
Because when you get in an Uber, when you get in a car, you don't pay attention as much to what's around you. So go park somewhere, find a nice park, and just walk around your city, walk around downtown. As Bill pointed out, I think, camping is a big thing. We're going to see all the COVID-safe travel activities are going to be huge. We're looking at national parks, Yosemite. We're looking at camping activities.
Right.
We're looking at people doing the Appalachian Trail, hiking. Beach days will start to become a little more popular. Of course, they've been popular here in Florida. People never really left the beach, but those are going to be those kinds of activities that will start to make a comeback, I think. So I would say, take a walk. Go park somewhere downtown or kind of, in a nearby park, and just start wandering around. Don't just walk through your local park, but wander around and see what small businesses are down there that are doing takeout that maybe need help. There's like small grilled cheese shop here in St. Petersburg. So every time I go down there, I try to walk in and get my to-go grilled cheese there because it's a small mom and pop shop. So that's a great way to discover it. But also, like Kim said, everything's not about food. It's a lot about the arts as well. And that's another big area that's going to need our funding, our tourist dollars. There's been, to kind of segue into the cruise ship industry, I have a lot of friends who are performing artists on cruise ships, who do cabaret acts or who are in like the musicals they do and things like that. And I can tell you that it is for the employees has really been Dante's Inferno, to put it nicely. I had a couple of friends who were stranded on the cruise ship, not allowed to leave for about 5 months.
Wow,
And
that long.
also, we're told 3 months in, by the way, you don't have a job anymore, so we're just going to pay you your per diem so that you can exist, and you can't leave the ship. Now it's been dramatic for some cruise ships. And the thing about cruise ships is they don't turn off. There is no just off and let them float switch. So it's constantly, burning fuel, hurting the environment, using up supplies. They have to keep people fed that are on the ship. They have to keep people taking care of it and maintaining. So I think that it's going to have a worse effect on cruises than the airline industry, this pandemic. I think you're going to see the airlines will be able to lure people back because most scientists have said they haven't been able to trace any major outbreaks to people taking flights now because they are mandating masks. They do have HEPA air filters. They are taking extra precautions. So they're not the safest thing you can do, but they're definitely safer than a cruise ship where you will be dining in big rooms full of other people and going to big parties and bars and things like that. So I think cruises you won't see back for a while.
So then the tickets should be cheap.
Maybe, or very expensive to make up for years of losses.
Right. So I figured that the tickets would come with a disclaimer. Cheap, but at your own risk.
Right. You have to buy a life insurance policy with your cruise ship. Yeah.
It's time to surprise a loved one with that getaway vacation they always wanted, right?
Yes.
Funny.
It sounds like the Mousetrap or one of those old novels.
Right, Kim. And then Mark, go ahead, Kim.
I'm sorry to interrupt like this, but you said something about them being locked on the ship for all that time. And I have talked to people in the Navy, and that kind of ship lock is not healthy. So I'm just curious, I would love to hear stories, not like the drama part, but just how did you survive it? To me, that'd be like on an island, but maybe even worse. And
yes. I would like to have someone on the show who's been through this and talk to them. But most of the people who have recently gotten off their cruise ships, it's the last thing they want to do because it's at least in the Navy, you have activities, things to do, you have cleaning schedules, you have muster stations, and when there's no guests and you're an entertainer on a cruise ship, you just spend 12 to 20 hours in your 3x3 cabin and you have nowhere to go and no entertainment and nothing to do, and it's rough.
I wonder, did they eat lobster? For some reason, I'm hanging.
Bill is having a lobster moment. We see that now. Bill's having a definite.
I mean, don't mind me. It's just the power of persuasion of Congress, and I'm just.
Yeah, you're just trying to have that lobster moment.
But Mark, you had a question.
No, I actually had a question for my fine friend there from Malaysia, because one of the things that I remember when I went on the cruise was there were a number of people that were working on the cruise ships from countries like Malaysia and countries like that. So how are they being impacted by the industry as well? Because like I said, I'm thinking that a number of these folks that are going to be laid off are from countries like Malaysia, Singapore, and a number of places like that. Because I know when I was on the cruise ship, that's what I noticed was there were a number of folks that were working from those countries. You're on mute.
Yes. Today I saw the report that. Oh.
No. Yeah. Now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. No.
Can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Say 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Okay. So basically, Malaysia, what I see that their unemployment rate is increasing. Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, these kind of countries, I think it's around 6.1%. Previously, it was 3.8 or something. So more than 2% is increasing right now. So this is one of the alarming that that they are focusing on, that they have unemployment rate. But beside that, Malaysian government taking a lot of initiative. Let's say Sabah Sarawak. Today I find that here is Petronas. They are investing around 2.7 billion ringgit for their transportations infrastructure and this kind of development. What does it mean? Like they are trying to developing their inner economical circles and other things. Mm-hmm. So what I can understand, like how a Malaysian Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin, he's taking initiative. Like definitely this unemployment rate and other things they are trying to overcome through the enhancing the capabilities of the human resources, investing inside, let's say Malaysia, Petronas, investing in Sabah, investing in Sarawak. So it's mean that they are trying to make it more effective and they are trying to make it more productive. So this is the way when any kind of investment happening from the central government, so many people will get job there and they can get their salary and payment from there, and this is the way they can overcome from this situation. So side by side I find that Malaysians unemployment increasing. Yes, tourism is the most important thing for Malaysia. But beside that, I want to say, let's say Air Asia. Air Asia is a airline company, but they are also focusing on developing their e-commerce site. Okay, so like they are diversifying their business. So this is the even Air Asia getting support from Malaysian government as well. So it's mean that they are taking initiative which will help them. Even they are not only focus on the tourism and these things. Besides that, they are open up the new ventures. On the other hand, Malaysian government also investing inside their country, so which is also help them to overcome from these situations. That is the strategy. Malaysian finance minister strategy is it in between one year we want to overcome from this situation. I think it's possible.
Okay.
Wow. Wait a minute. Bill,
Just a quick question. Just a quick question.
Their unemployment is 2.1. What's ours?
Oh, no, wait, hang on. I didn't quite hear you because Willie, and what was your question?
Now, my question, then I'll turn it over to Willie, but I was saying that he was saying that their unemployment is 6.1%, which is a high amount and everything, but I'm trying to put it in context because I think ours is much higher than that and everything. So what's the United States unemployment if we want to compare to their 6.1?
Okay, well, currently ours is 8.4. We have to wait to see what the other. Yeah.
Can I add something? Like example, you have to understand the country economical structure. Let's say China. China is very much government oriented. You know, even if you see that sovereign fund and everything, China is higher around the world. I think $1.5 trillion. So country like Malaysia, I'm talking about, let's say Petronas. Petronas is a government-owned company in Fortune Global 500 company, even if it's so this kind of countries, let's say Singapore, Malaysia, even China, this kind of country, they have strong dependency with governments, and government has a strong control over their economy, and that is the strategy that in that situation they are
right.
They actually helping each other. They're helping government, helping corporation helping government. Okay. On the other hand, if I focus on US economy actually, what I understand that is more on capitalism. It's more on private corporation, more on private things. So when there is a more on private things, so private or corporation, how they run, they take a lot of bank loan from money from stock markets, so risk factor is very high. But when government running something and government has sovereignty is a very important factor for macroeconomics. So that is the reason country like China, country like Malaysia, country like Singapore, even I think Australia, even though they have some sort of recession, but still they are something very mixed economy. But China is more control. Government has more control over economy. So that's thing actually working right now. Employment, unemployment, government pumping money, government putting money on that. Yeah.
Okay, and Sharif, that is a great topic for Economic Mondays, but we're here on Podcasters Thursdays. Willie, you had a comment, please.
Yeah, I flew from Melbourne to Sydney on the 9th, and that plane was chock-a-block. No social distancing. It was full right through, and there's like 150 people popped out of the plane when it landed.
Wow.
And it was full.
Huh.
And we're lining up and queuing up. I didn't see anybody. But the moment we got on the plane, people just kept coming in and coming in and coming in. And that kind of sort of really threw me, because social distancing, washing your hands, didn't see any of that.
Wow.
Didn't see any of that at all. And now I'm in quarantine, so I can only get out that door 1 hour every day.
Right. Okay. Branden. So, I'm sorry, Willie, go ahead.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay. Brandon, so what are the airlines doing? Because earlier you had mentioned that they're going to really try to entice us to travel. What actually are they doing? Are they upselling or their ability to clean? I've seen some things about them bringing in UV lights and decontaminating planes overnight. What's the travel industry doing that you know of to bring us back?
Well, that's a great question. So I think there's a lot of what I would call or what what some journalists would call sanitation theater that they do to try and entice people back. We've started to get to the point now where we've realized that transmission rates from surfaces is fairly low risk. It's mostly an aerosolized virus. So most of the airlines doing things like lots of Lysol wiping things, lots of spraying. You'll see videos of different airlines doing promo videos, spraying seats down with harsh chemicals to try and kill the virus. But like Willie was saying, the kind of myth we had early on in this is that the airlines weren't going to sell the middle seats, that was going to be their method of keeping people safe, and that never really happened. People who if they filled people on the plane, they filled people on the plane. But it depends on the airline. I think a lot of airlines are doing some sort of special, whether it be like I said, American has a special where you can buy points, which is part of the One World Alliance. So British Airways and all the other airlines that share that reward membership, you can buy points for at a super reduced rate. I haven't checked it recently, but I think it was like 1.7 cents a mile, which is way lower than they usually go for. Some airlines, other more like the budget airlines, the EasyJets, the Spirit Airways, places like that are doing buy in advance tickets where you buy like a voucher to fly in advance. I know Singapore Airlines is doing that as well, where I had a trip to Bali that I had booked, and they started offering this voucher program where basically you could let them have the money to keep functioning and just book that value of travel in the future. That's a big risk, though. So if you're looking at traveling and you do a voucher program, you may spend $500 on a voucher now, but in 3 years, that airline ticket to go, not that far, may be significantly more than $500. So miles maybe is more the way to go, since they kind of fluctuate with prices as well.
Okay, well, I mean, I have a question, and on that point, even if let's say I were to buy miles now, and you described that the prices would be low and then they would shoot up, like a V recovery, essentially, for the airlines, and that they would try to make up their losses with these increased prices. Why wouldn't they do the same with the miles? So that, if I buy miles now and I think it's a good deal, given that a mile would be worth what it used to be worth. What if they just devalue the miles and require me to pay more miles for these prices? Is that something
that's also quite a risk. We've never really been through this. The last time we kind of went through a major sweeping pandemic was a long time ago, and airlines weren't the booming business they are now. So we don't really know what they're going to do. We don't know how many of them will even survive, and the ones that do, what the prices will be. So I'm not a financial person, but what I would tell anybody who wants to start planning travel is take the money you're going to spend and just put it into a savings account with a 0.01 or 2% interest rate, and you'll end up being better off to just pull all that money out at once in 2 years and book all your travel all at once. So I think now's the time for inspiration and planning and saving, and not necessarily trying to get the best deal.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I had a quick question for Brandon as well. I've been really impressed here in Durham, and I'd say actually throughout North Carolina, with the way that the bus industry has handled it. They've got masks in the front. They're having people enter from the back, and there is definitely, unlike what Willie was talking about, separation. So they're trying to keep the distances and everything of that nature. So I've been really impressed with the bus industry, and I think that I've seen that even nationally and internationally. I've talked to my friends, but I was curious about the train industry and how they are doing. And have you heard anything as a travel person as to how the train industry is doing in terms of separating people? So I'm a big fan of train travel when I can get it, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were.
I would love to do a whole episode on trains. That is my favorite way to travel, hands down. I love a long distance overnight train. They're just so much nicer than airplanes, much more comfortable. They feel relaxing. You feel refreshed. So, it depends on what country you're in. For those of us in the United States, we've never really had a robust kind of tourist passenger train program. I mean, we did back in the days of the steam engine when that was the only method to go across the country. But Amtrak's been faltering constantly for the last 50 years almost, it seems. But I love those routes, and I love those trains, some of those historic routes. So you're seeing a similar thing with the airlines. They're offering a lot of advanced kind of cleaning theater, but they're bigger, they're more open, they're not pressurized tubes in the sky, so there's a little more outside airflow and air exchange. And the thing that people, I think, need to think about when they're thinking about trains is a lot of trains will offer a private room. So you can get a room on a train that has a bed and its own bathroom. So it can be a lot safer potentially for train travel. I mean, the safest thing to do is stay at home. But if you have to go out and about, not leaving your car is great. And if you are taking a train somewhere, you can have your room to stay in. We haven't seen them offer too many specials or deals really in the way of travel now. I think it's mainly because in the United States, we haven't really had a robust tourism by train industry. Their kind of money pits, or their places where they're really making their money, are going to be, their routes going from DC to Boston or New York, the kind of short haul routes. That's where Amtrak's going to make its money. So if you are looking at taking a trip somewhere and you're looking at taking a train, I would say, can you drive it first, because it's probably safer, but a train is probably the next kind of safer, one of the safer methods to go. Not going to be any deals, though. Not a lot I can give you there.
Okay.
As a follow-up, just a real quick follow-up, what is your thoughts, Branden, about Megabus, the China bus, and a number of those things? They were very popular before the pandemic, but I don't even know if they're surviving. So what are your thoughts as a travel expert about those? So I was just curious about that as well, because I know they were very popular at one time.
Yeah, I mean, I love the bus routes. I don't mind an overnight bus at all. I don't know how they'll do. I think it's hard around this time. Generally, it's cheaper to operate buses, and so their fares can be lower. So hopefully they can hold out a little longer and they'll be able to make it through. But we're all into the unknown with this. So that's hard to say who will survive. The mega buses, Greyhound's been around for a long time. They'll likely survive. What they'll do with their rates and their deals, once the pandemic starts to subside, is a shot in the dark, I think, even for them. But bus is one of those things where they are cheaper to run and cheaper to maintain. So you may see them be able to pull through a little bit better.
Okay, well, if we just pause for a second, I think that we have someone new to add. Hello, young man. How are you?
Hello. How are we all?
Okay, we're great. We have Ben Coates, a dear friend and a colleague coming from across the pond in the UK that apparently does not believe in the agreements they signed. So, Ben, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. Tell us, how are you over there?
I'm really good, Bill. I'm really good. We've gone well past that now. That was 2 days ago, so that's old news, this breaking international laws, Bill. Well, over it now. We're now on to another crisis over in the UK. So we're slowly locking down again, different parts of the country. But however, we have it back at one of your election candidates today, at Joe Biden. Downing Street has said we don't think he understands Brexit.
Oh my God! What are your papers reporting, and what are your people hearing?
Well, on Wednesday night, Joe Biden issued a warning that a post-Brexit US-UK trade deal would be contingent upon respect for the Good Friday Agreement, which obviously is the Northern Ireland peace deal. Downing Street have hit back and said they don't think he understands what Brexit is. We interpreted our own way of international laws in the week, shall we say, allegedly, just keeping it away from the lawyers. But it's been agreed now that the bill will be accepted, subject to it being voted on before it's enacted. So the bill is there; it has cover. We can use that bill as long as it goes back to Parliament, and Parliament say yes, you can put it into law now. So that's the agreement between the rebels in the Tory party and the Tory leaders themselves. But Mr. Biden has kindly had a few things to say. And of course, the UK government have told him basically to keep his nose out. He doesn't understand it. So I'm not quite sure it's the influence in the way that others allegedly influence elections, but it certainly is quite damaging to it's quite damaging, to be fair, to Mr. Biden, the fact that the people that do respect the US-UK relationship will look at it as a negative. And it's quite dangerous ground to go to if it goes any further. So, okay, at the moment, it's a bit of tit for tat. But if it starts getting into a serious argument and people keep biting back, it could have an effect, obviously, and damage his standing in people that do want the relationship. But, yes,
Okay.
so he's been told.
Sobering news from our cousins across the pond. Wow. Any thoughts, anyone? Willie? Okay.
Well, Willie's waiting. I've got a question because I've got a question for Ben and everything. I've got a question for Ben. I've heard the term. A lot of other people have heard the term. Apparently, Mr. Biden does not know the term, but we are an international audience. So this is your opportunity. Explain to the world, what is Brexit? So like I said, I've got an idea, but I want you to explain it to us. What is Brexit?
Thanks, Mark. I thought we were friends. I thought we got on. Right, Brexit. Okay.
Center stage.
Brexit is where we leave the EU, the EU bloc. We become independent in all our trade deals. We become independent in the Human Rights Court of Justice. We become independent in everything. We'll be back as our own island. And although that's the simple way of putting it, but of course it's never as simple as that, Mark. The truth is, personally, I think the EU is on the verge of, I won't say breakup, but losing its power. There's too many powerful nations at the top, and this was discussed the other day on IBM TV. There's too many powerful nations at the top having too much of a say. And unfortunately, if you keep on grinding down the smaller countries and not respecting their opinions, they're going to break away. However, we in the UK set the standards, so we went for it first, of course. Nobody else would do it. They've all had, in and out referendums. But no, let's let the UK get on with it and see how they get on. Thanks a lot, everyone. And the EU are trying to make it as hard as possible for us to leave because the people with the power in the EU are obviously worried that it will be a domino effect and others will go, and the 27 trading bloc countries will suddenly become independent again. I'm a great believer you have to deal with what you've got. Brexit's happened. Brexit now is banned from government speak. You won't hear a minister say Brexit no more. There's actually a memo gone around over the last couple of weeks saying, don't mention it. That's gone. It's now the future relationship we're working on. I'm a great believer you've got to work with what you got. We've got to get on with it. There's no point in moaning. We could be moaning about it for years. It's happened. The vote was 52-48. And no matter what people say, that's a win for yes, leave. It's I mean, I know that some would, some get confused with figures out there, but 52-48 is a win for leave. But of course, why did the 48 want to remain? Because they see the benefits of being in the EU. So we have to kind of build a new relationship outside of the bloc, but still incorporating a trade deal with the EU, working alongside them. Like any good businesses do, some business owners split up but still work together. But of course, that is a power struggle. And I don't need to tell you across the pond what a power struggle's like. I'm pretty sure you know about it more than us at the minute.
Right.
So they're not really working on what they're not really working what they have to. I mean, it's like us as the public. When the election is gone and your election is gone, if it's Trump or Biden, you've got to get on what you've got to go on with. That's the condition you've got. You might not like it. You can either spend days and days going out and protesting and losing 2, 3, 4 weeks of your life, or you can just accept it, go, okay, I don't like it, but it's what it is, and I've got to crack on and get on with things. And unfortunately, of course, power doesn't allow certain people to do that, does it?
No,
it doesn't allow people to do that. A friend of mine actually had an interesting statement. They said that no matter what happens in the election, and Bill will probably agree with this as well, that no matter what happens, whichever side wins, either the right side or the left side, if you want to put it in those kind of contexts, at the end of the day, we're going to be stuck with an over 70-year-old white man that's going to be the president. So it doesn't matter, but that's what we're going to have at the end. So that's what a friend of mine who's actually on one side.
I know, actually, Mark, just as a point of clarification, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that race is an issue in that. And so, I mean, it may be for you at the end of the day that there's a white person in the office, but no, Mark.
I think they were really referring to the age, because it was actually a elderly white woman that made that comment. She was actually in her 62, so that made that comment to me. That's a longtime friend. So I think she was really referring more to the age factor.
No.
The,
I fully understand that. I guess my point of clarification was when you said that Bill would probably agree, because I just wanted to be clear I don't on that particular point. Now, however, we have a bit of a mess in the world, and we have experts in all the various areas. And how do we pull this all together? Branden, I guess we're just going to be taking more walks. Ben, we're going to stand up and be calm. Is that what's the saying over there? Buck up and be calm. Or,
keep
calm and carry on.
Yeah, keep calm and carry on.
Keep calm and carry on. Okay. And in Malaysia, how do you carry on?
Okay. So in what area exactly you want to know about how we carry on? Okay.
Well, I mean, how do you face your day? You wake up every day, and do you just say, I'm just going to get after it and remain optimistic and decide that I'm just going to accept what we're doing and then move forward? How do you do that?
No, definitely. We have to be positive. We have many failures, many problems, many challenges. But from the beginning of the day, I have to be positive. I have to take initiative, even in these COVID periods. Now, actually, even going to outside in Malaysia, very complicated. Even going outside from my condo. But I have to be used to for this kind of things. And positiveness is only the solution. Like we need our very good hope. I always think that hope for the best, and that is the way for survive.
Okay. And Willie, because you are in quarantine, and for our audience that's just joining us and may not know, I will simply say this: Willie, you have been under quarantine. You get 1 hour a day outside. How do you keep calm and carry on, please?
So I do my exercise in my room.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go outside, I just sit in the sun and get as much sunshine as I can get. Don't do nothing, just sit. And then I split it in half. So half an hour just sitting in the sun, and the other half is hugging a tree. So putting my palms on the tree. So that because trees breathe out carbon dioxide, oxygen, I breathe out carbon dioxide, so we just exchange.
Okay.
So that's what I do. That's what I do in my hour outside.
Okay, now Branden, it seems to me that you are essentially in the same page that Willie is. I mean, you're a world traveler, and you're used to being out and about, and the airlines are going kerplunk. Okay, all kinds. The trains are empty, and everybody's on lockdown. How are you still fighting the good fight in the travel world?
Well, I just nap a lot. No, I try to get out and explore a little bit. I try to see some of. I'm just saying what we're all thinking. I just nap and stare at the ceiling in existential crisis most of the time. No, but I do try to get out a little bit and see some of my own backyard as well. Trying to kind of pivot and replan to do some travel, domestic travel and domestic travel guides and road trip kind of guides. For the folks in the United States, so we'll see how it all plays out, but we do what we can.
Okay, and then Ben, and then we'll go to Mark. Ben, you've got your troop of 8, but you've got a restriction of 6.
I tried sleeping it off as well, but as soon as they did, something changed. So I gave up on that idea, Branden. I went to sleep. We could meet as 30, and now we can meet as 6. So when I woke up, no. I mean, the only way of getting through it is by laughing through it, isn't it? And making the most of it, and dealing with positive people. I mean, me and the wife today have just been out to somewhere called Bliss Hill, which is actually an old Victorian museum, because they're allowing residents in our postcode area to go for free. So while the kids were at school, we've had a couple of hours off. Gone round there. They do the old fish. I'm talking to you guys. The old fish and chip shop, and they cook it in there. You know it's coming, and they cook it in.
Not here, right?
They cook it in beef dripping, and things like that. And they've got an old sweet shop, so things like kale. I don't know if you remember Rainbow kale and things like that, and the old sweets. And it was really nice just to have a couple hours off, get away from it. There's no because it's in the Iron Bridge Gorge, which is a World Heritage Site. There's no mobile phone signal, so you can't get disturbed down there. It was just great. So I do a lot of walking. I've got the greyhounds, as you all know. I do a lot of walking, and I do a lot of my calls while I'm walking as well. So you've just got to smile your way through it. Make the most of what you've got. We've got this for a reason. And then of course, the other way of relaxing is listen to a fantastic investment person Russia. You know, it's called Sasha. So, hello, Sasha. How are you?
Okay, very well. How are you doing? I
I'm
was a
very
little
good.
bit distracted by the market actions, but actually, it's very, very interesting situation today.
Yes.
I was watching it. Yeah, very interesting.
Okay.
No,
So I guess, well, first we've got to go to Mark. Mark, how do you carry on every day? Just simple tips for, that maybe helpful. Brandon's sleeping. Willie's under quarantine. Ben is at the museum. And you, Mark, where do you spend your time?
Well, you can't go wrong with some good music, some good books, and some good games. So I try to do a combination of those during the course of the day. And like Brandon and like Willie was talking about, a good walk also comes through. And I've even dabbled. I was never a cook. And I will tell y'all that right now, I was never a cook. My brother is a pretty good cook, and my dad is, I would argue, a master cook. But definitely that was not my forte. But I have learned how to do that. I was actually fixing some okra yesterday. So I was actually learning about some cooking tips and things of that nature. So definitely learning some new skills as well. So that's some of the ways that I try to survive.
Okay, that you just had the great segue, because here we go. We've got Ben from across the pond, and we've got Nick in the other corner. And who makes the best chips? And Ben talked about beef drippings. You brought it up, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Man, the Brits. Yeah, I mean, you got to hand it to them. They have the greasiest fish and chips around. I mean, you just can't beat all that grease. So if you ever happen to have a chance to go to London, they just dip all that stuff in that greasy frying things, and you just suck it on down. I mean, got to hand it to Britain. So that's Great Britain. Not just Britain, it's Great Britain, as we all know, because they do have that. And that's probably the only thing that they have that's good in Great Britain. Because think about it. Okay, French cuisine is well known throughout the world, how good it is. Italian, great. Indian food is great. Chinese food is great. Nobody says Great Britain's food's great because they know it's not great. They have fish and chips, and they have tea, and that's about it. So other than that, there's nothing for that foggy little island to produce. And so all of us broke away, as we well know. Malaysia, you guys left them. India, you left them. Canada, you left them. US, you left them. Australia, you left them because their food sucks. I mean, that was the real reason. But we never really wanted to tell them that because that would embarrass them. And they still
Wait a minute, Nick. I think we got to have Ben give a response to that, because Ben is definitely all about.
Ben has no response.
I want Ben to get his response.
No response.
I know that we got Nick going. I need Ben's response. Ben.
Okay, we'll give him some time.
Right,
Nick,
warm it up.
10 seconds.
You must admit that tea in Russia is second to none.
Yeah, tea in Russia's good. They even have the Russian tea room here in the United States. Tea in Russia's good. Look, there's a lot of good food everywhere else in the world except Great Britain, which is the reason we all left. Even Australia, they have the Outback. I mean, great food there, but not in Great Britain. No great food.
I'm just coming in off my long run up here, I tell you. Right, Mr. Nick. Right. Now, it's eloquent cuisine. We appreciate everybody's food. We don't just stick to one part. We're not just partial to a good Indian or a good Chinese. We embrace everybody's cultural food, and we enjoy it. It's a pleasure. And also we have it in reasonable portions. We don't pile it on our plate and have it massive and then sit there and until it's all gone. So that is what I call culture, and that is what Britain does well. And of course it goes perfectly with a lovely cup of tea.
Nothing like a great cup of tea, and I hear what you're saying, but Nick, he actually brings up a point, and I'm going to hear from the rest of the world as well, because I think we give away too much out of our food, and maybe the British do a better job of it, but we waste a lot of food here in the United States. So what do you say about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's something we do because we have plenty. Remember, in the United States, we make plenty of food. And that foggy little island, there's places there they can't grow anything. They have a bunch of sheep. It's called Scotland in the North End. They don't even like Scotland.
They make a great single malt. I mean,
okay, but they don't have a lot of land in that foggy little island. I mean, that's part of the reason. Hey, come on, Bill. That's part of the reason they had to colonize. They realized The foggy little island can't look. They couldn't even grow potatoes in Ireland. I mean, come on. How can no one grow potatoes? We have Idaho that grows tons of potatoes, more than Ireland. We have California that grows oranges. We have zillions of food here in the United States. We don't have any problems with eating. So we eat a lot, throw away a lot. But that's the great United States of America, which I'm going to change.
But they have proper civility in their politics.
Oh, well, of course they have civility because they have the Queen. No one else has the Queen, do we? Look around. Branden,
Malaysia has
have a queen.
Malaysia
No.
Malaysia has some monarchy. So what were you getting ready to say, Sharif?
Oh, our queen just arrived.
Malaysia follow UK. Malaysia like they love UK, and they love Great Britain. I think yes, Malaysia is a very good follower of Britain. And another important thing is that if like Professor Nick said in that way that Britain cannot cook very good food. Like I know many Bangladeshi and Indian, they shift in UK and they have a very good restaurant chain. I know Tommy Mia and some very good restaurant from East London, and I think Indian and Bangladeshi and Pakistani people, they have a very good food chain there. Yeah. So if you say in that way, then the Bangladeshi, Indian and Pakistani people, they have to live UK, and if British people start to make different cook and different food, it will be harmful for us.
The thing is, Sharif, you're right. They have to import people from outside to cook food because they can't cook or make any decent food there. And if you notice in Great Britain, they all go to pubs and get drunk. Do you know why? Because they can't stand their own food. So what they do is they go to these pubs and they go, "Hey, let's get drunk. Let's have a lager. Let's drink some beer or something." Because their food sucked. So what can you do about Great Britain? The best thing you do is you get on this Euro-rail and you go down to Paris. Go to France, have some good dinner, and then you're okay. And that's just the way it is there. Nothing wrong with the foggy little island. You just got to realize what's going on over there.
Branden, do you have any thoughts on Nick's offering to our collective thought pattern?
Well, listen, my favorite joke I've ever heard is that historically, the English had the gall to invade half the world for its spices and then never use a single one. So that's always the joke I've heard. But the best fish and chips I've ever had was in Exeter. There was a little shop in Exeter that couldn't tell you what it was called, but it was I had fish and chips a few times over the course of a few months in around the UK, and that was just the best place for it. I like stuff.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. They make good greasy. I agree with you, Branden. They make good greasy fish and chips. But Branden, do you go to Britain for their food? Do you ever go to a British restaurant here? I mean, come on. You go to an Indian restaurant, but do you ever think, hey, I got a great idea. Let's go to London to have a great dinner.
Nick, but you don't have to always go for food. Let's be honest here. Now, Ben, they have some amazing art, some amazing culture that exists in England and around London and everything. They also have some amazing other things, some amazing sports figures. So there are a lot of things that are definitely worth going there to visit and everything. Ben, I'm trying to give you like a tourism boast here and everything, since I plan to come and visit you and your whole family. So I'm trying to help you out here. So I need you to dive in and tell all these great things that y'all have. So I just did my part. So Ben, it's on you.
Dive in, Ben. Talk about your great things. Hey, listen, stay around, Mark. It's only going to take a couple seconds. So
Okay.
Go on, Ben.
Hey, can I make an intro first?
Yeah, of course you can, Bill.
Okay, we'd like to welcome Wynn Charles, who is with us from Colorado. She is a journalism student, and she runs her own podcast called Ask Wynn, and we're glad to have you. Hello, Wynn.
Hi, good morning.
Good afternoon. Well, good morning. So welcome.
Good morning.
Right now, we're having a discussion over food, travel, and our friend from across the pond, Ben, is responding to Nick's unprovoked assault.
My favorite subject, food and travel, you guys.
It's food and travel on Podcasters Thursday.
Let's start off, though. Let's start off, Nick. In our cars, we have steering wheels because we have, we like to drive up the road and not just sit there, because we like to take in what we're going past. I know you get in your cars and go on what's called the highway and just sit there and just drift off and cruise control. But we like taking, because we've got plenty of beauty spots in the UK. We have, as you've seen, we've got fantastic universities, world renowned, that are coming up with vaccines for the whole world. We're helping you all out. Yes, we held back last week because we didn't want to come back too early. We've got a fantastic wall across the Great Divide of England and Scotland, which is actually a beauty spot. You know, so I mean but that of course that is across what's called a country lane. You may not have them over in your area, Nick, but that includes a bit of steering on the car. But so don't head for Adrian's wall, sir. But Mark, back to your point. Whenever you're coming over, sir, let me know your flight number. I'll have you a warm welcome at the airport. No problem at all. Nick, when yours is coming over, let me know your flight number just so I can avoid it. Okay, so
and Ben, Malaysia with you. Malaysia people really love Britain. We also have king and queen, and we directly follow UK. You know, everywhere, and we have very good food. So anytime you need our support, we are with Britain, Great Britain.
Well, this is why
at least you have one supporter, Ben.
This is why we let Bermuda go yesterday, because they're not in the same realms as Malaysia. They're not working with us, you see. We only like people that work with us and appreciate what we have in the UK.
Yeah,
we are the UK. We are strong. We are, we are unique. I admit we're unique, very unique, actually. But that's another point, that is. But and of course, Nick, whenever you do want to come across, Grimsby is fantastic for fish and chips, Nick, and I know it's a big love of yours. You keep denying it, but you can only deny it for a certain amount of time. And I want to see you on the seafront with fish and chips, curry toast, and a cup of tea.
Well, that would be great, but let me respond to your automobiles and your stupid little highways, because I drove on them not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and Branden knows this. First of all, you guys drive on the wrong side of the road. I mean, that is just ridiculous. It makes it real hard to operate. Then you sit on the wrong side of the highway. So after having to make those super big adjustments with your tiny little stupid cars that us big Americans don't fit in very well. So I cram in your stupid little car, and then those things you call highways are really what we call 2-lane dirt roads. Seriously, they're absolutely horrible.
Well,
I mean,
they drive in circles, Nick.
I will never drive there again because, and then, hey, listen, it gets worse. Okay, in our cities, you just drive in. In your city of London, they stop you and they make you pay tolls. Why? Just to drive in their bloody stupid little city. So now you get to go to the foggy little island with a stupid little city. You got to pay to go in, driving on the wrong side of the road, sitting on the wrong side of the car, and you're supposed to say, this is wonderful. In Branden's travel, he'll talk about a lot of places, but he never talks about going to this foggy little island. There's a reason for that. He knows that people aren't attracted to that. So watch Branden's travel.
Hold on a second.
Just a moment, Mark.
You dropped Bermuda. You just said you dropped Bermuda, and I've got a relative, a friend of my dad's who's actually in Bermudan government. So this is breaking news to me. So wait a minute, y'all dropped Bermuda, and when did this happen? Because I didn't know about this, and I've got a friend involved in the environmental movement who's in Bermuda.
Look, Mark, they dropped everybody. They're leaving. They're leaving everybody. They're having nothing to do with anybody.
No, I didn't know about that either until this morning, you guys.
Firstly, Mark, let me just come back to Nick. Nick, of course, you just contradicted yourself. You call us a foggy island, yet we've got something called the congestion charge, which is actually trying to help the environment to stop the fog across the world. We all know the fog's imported. I won't say where it's from, but look close to home, sir. Look close to home. That's all I can say. And yeah, Mark, we just decided we've had a heart-to-heart, and we've, that the UK has, and we're just going to let them move. They're doing fantastic on their own. We've built them up. Another country we've built up, and they're going to go and prosper, and we're very proud. It's like seeing your son off to university, Mark. We're very proud of them. Very proud of the parenthood job we've done as well. We're cool with where we're at on that one, Mark.
Okay. I'm starting to get how you guys think over there. So for all the colonies that are here, remember that Great Britain came to extract minerals and money from. He translates that we built you up. Okay, so just realize that that's their whole idea of building you up. Okay. So next time I decide the United States goes and colonizes somebody and extracts all the mineral rights, we'll just say, well, we're building you up, and then tax you without representation. So with that, they've retreated. They're now even leaving the EU. And I'm not sure if they made that decision or that the EU just said, hey, look, we can't handle that tiny little foggy island, and they pushed you over. So what happened, Ben? Was it your decision to leave the EU, or the EU would just said, hey, look, we don't want anything to do with Great Britain anymore, and they pushed you out?
it's just, our shoulders can only hold so many people, Nick, and I'm afraid at times you have to let go some of the errant children that you just can't, you can't help anymore. And unfortunately, the EU was one of them. We'll let them have their petty squabbles. We'll sit here. They can come back to us. We're not running away and leaving them. They're always welcome to come back to us, but we are on our own now, and we feel that's for the best, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they drive on the wrong side of the road in Europe anyway, Nick. So
I will leave that to Branden if somebody's trying to get in. So I'm going to take my tea.
Nick, I got a quick question, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill. But we've been leaving this lovely lady out in the cold out here and everything. So I want to know what my fellow podcaster has to say about all of us being crazy and having this crazy conversation. So we need to bring her in. So my new friend here and everything, what are you thinking of this crazy bunch of IBM.TV? And can you tell us a little bit about your podcast? Because I was feeling that you were being left out in the cold.
Sure, I can. Good morning, guys. My name is Wynn. I first got affiliated with you guys on when I did Mind Closet 101 twice, and my podcast is Ask Wynn, and it's an inspirational interview podcast, and I have a neurological condition called cerebral palsy, and I've been living with that for 33 years. And the reason why I started podcasting is because I wrote a book and I just figured out, okay, now I need to market this book. How am I going to do that? I tried YouTube way back when, before StreamYard. I tried everything else, and then I quickly realized that podcasting was the way to go. And so what I'm most known for is Ask Wynn, but I have two other podcasts, one, The Amazing Voices of Teachers, and then all about the educational system, and then the other one, The Artwork of CP, which is all about cerebral palsy, as it sounds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you've interviewed a number of people, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have. And I was very lucky enough to get interviewed by Bill and Flo. And then I took it upon myself to interview Bill on my podcast as well. So, and over the time I have done over 13,000 episodes in the time span of 10 years. And I have been doing it on and off, well, on for 10 years, on as a part-time job for 10 years. But since COVID hit, it's the first time I'm able to do content creation full time.
Okay. But
Just real quick, I just wanted to say bye to everybody because it's been my pleasure to meet you, Wynn. You were a delightful podcaster. I am a fellow podcaster, both here on IBM TV as well as having my own podcast on Blog Talk Radio. So definitely is glad to meet you. I look forward to meeting you and having further conversations about podcasting in the future. But I'm going to take my leave. I've got to have another meeting, and then I've got to meet back for the Gamers Den in about an hour. But thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Great seeing you, Ben, Branden, and Willie, and Sasha, Sharif, Ankit, and you, Bill. So all of y'all, it was amazing seeing y'all, and was glad to join the conversation. So peace, and I'll see y'all later.
Okay, Ben, you had something.
Oh, yeah, I love inspirational stories like you. I have a podcast, and I recently interviewed a young man who his business is going to get through the current crisis. He is he had 27 brain operations by the time he was age 27. By the time he was age 2. And I just think people like your good self, you know, who's obviously got cerebral palsy, I think you just prove to so many different people that there's nothing in life you can't do. It's all about mindset. So I just want to congratulate you, because I love seeing entrepreneurs with disabilities that are succeeding, because it's just so inspirational to me. So you inspire me, and you inspire many, many people. So I just want to say congratulations to you, and I wish you the very, very best of luck.
Well, thank you. And
if I might add, because our viewers don't know, that you are currently in journalism school and you are about to become a journalist. So please tell us all about that. Because you are.
I am, Bill. I am my original degree was and is in education, but I decided to go back and get a bachelor's degree in journalism / mass communications. And I feel like, as Bill and I was speaking on my podcast, I feel like once I get this degree, I can pretty much do any single story they throw at me, although they will land up throwing the disabled stories at me because I am disabled, and they like to throw pity parties at the disabled. But as I said to Bill, I said I want to be like every other single journalist out there. Black Lives Matter, gay rights, disabled, throw it all at me, and I'll do it to the best of my abilities. And I would just do it to the best of my abilities, but I'm going to focus on the disabled and the caregivers more times than not, because I feel like the caregivers that help people with disabilities don't get enough time to shine. So, yeah, that's
Nick.
I'm here.
Okay.
Barely.
Right. Well, we're coming to you because you are the grand fromage.
Oh, no, I just like to beat up Ben. That's all. When I see Ben, I just can't resist. I mean, Great Britain, we go way back hundreds of years, maybe even more than that, you know. So the thing is, it's great to be on. Now, when, though, I understand you live in Boulder, Colorado? Is that right?
I live in Aspen, Colorado.
Aspen, Colorado.
Wow. Still beautiful. Boulder, still beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah, I've been to Aspen. I actually used to live in Boulder. I've been to Aspen. It's beautiful.
Okay.
All of Colorado is beautiful. They don't have anything like that in Great Britain. Not that I would like to bring that, but they really don't.
They don't.
There we go. They don't. So you and I agree on something. So the thing is, if you want really beautiful high mountains, see what they call mountains is our foothills. Okay, I mean, we have these things that are like 14,000 feet.
Yes,
right.
14.
Yeah, where they have maybe they look at a mountain. Oh, it's 14 feet. It's a big mountain in London. I mean, so the thing is, their ideas are a little bit different. But
exactly.
Aspen, the back bowl there is just absolutely beautiful. What a great place to live, and that's one reason why I think that, of course, one of the many reasons why the United States of America should be called the Great United States of America, and we can just forget Great Britain.
You had your hand up there.
But everyone knows about Great Britain, England, and all those countries. But now we are doing a show with Ben about Great Britain and what's there in Great Britain, about popularities in Great Britain. So Ben, would you like to share something about to our viewers and to our panelists? What are we talking in that show?
Yeah, firstly, we've got our first ever band guest, which is Nick. Obviously, he's not coming on this. I'm joking. That's a great
from the island. You won't let me on the island. I gave my passport.
No, actually, no. That's the wrong way of thinking about it. It should be education. So Nick's allowed on every week.
Okay.
But no, what we're going to being serious now, which is quite unusual for me, as many of the viewers will know. We're going to introduce people to the UK and show them the beauty of the UK. So we're going to do motoring, food, the culture, the different elements, the things. And we are also going to have the last 10 minutes is there's nothing serious on it. So we're going to have a side swipe at a lot of things going on in the world because I just like to have a laugh, and I like to have a laugh at things that are quite that a lot of people are worried about and things. And we try and make them a bit easier for people to understand and to perhaps take a different view of, and not to drive themselves into some kind of state over it. When you have a comedy look at something, it usually looks a lot different and not as scary as many people think. So really excited about the UK show. And obviously, yeah, everybody will be welcome. We will have panels on it. We'll be discussing everything that is great about the United Kingdom. I'm determined not to call it the Great British Show because of Nick's. But I do but I do actually think, I do actually want, I've been talking to Ankit, Bill, and what I actually want is at the start of the show, Nick going, Great Britain, as the intro.
So Professor, I have a question.
We would like to know about London as well.
Sharif, London is a small part of Great Britain. We have to discuss this. But anyway, let me go to my friend in Malaysia who does actually want to discuss about the UK.
What I know that Professor Nick from Oxford alumni, what's the wrong with these things? So why he's so much of fan for UK? Is there any issue?
Well, I used to live there, because I went to Oxford. Sharif, when you go there, you have to live there. So I was living in St. Edmund's Hall, otherwise known as Teddy Hall. That's what they call it. And got up and down High Street, looking for good food. Couldn't find any. Found everybody was in the pubs getting drunk. Asked them why. They said the food's horrible here. And I said, okay, it was their thing. I mean, the Great Britain, they tell you how it is over there, So when you have a chance to visit, like Branden will show them maybe someday on the travel show. I don't know, but it's really kind of hard thing. I'm looking forward to learning more about the better parts of Great Britain. And they're the only country I know that calls themselves great. And my proposal is that we need to change our name to the Great United States of America. That's all. There's nothing wrong. Come on, Ankit, in India, you call yourselves Great India. Great India, not just India, Great India. I mean, you have Old Delhi, New Delhi. We don't have Great New Delhi or Great India. So we need to just change our name. That's all. It's not a problem. Okay. Oh, Humera has arrived.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Excellent.
Happy birthday.
Happy Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
Thursday. Not Friday yet, Thursday.
I thought we were all a year old. I thought we were all a year older then. I mean, I know.
Let's get a neutral, unbiased opinion about Great Britain from Humera. Okay.
Well, I was conceived there, so it can't be unbiased.
Oh no! Okay, but even people that have had to track their way to the foggy little island. What do you think of the cuisine if you had a choice between nice, good, rich, wonderful tasting Indian food, or you get to eat the plain, vanilla, not so great tasting Great Britain food? What would you prefer, the Indian food or the food from Great Britain?
Well, even in that case, I can't be unbiased because the last time I checked, the national dish of Great Britain was chicken tikka masala. So even there, I mean, I think the last time I went to England, I did have fish and chips, and I actually enjoyed it. I mean, it was really good. It was really oily, but it was really tasty. And the chips are French fries, but they call them chips. So I liked it.
I told you, Ben, it's oily.
I like all food.
And not only that, Humera said, remember, she hadn't heard anything. She said specifically the best food that she gets over there, the national dishes, are from India. They're not from Great Britain. I mean, that's just the way it is
that's
over there.
That's last time I checked. And I don't know, that was a couple of years ago, so it might have changed.
Nothing's changed except they're Brexiting. They're having nothing to do with the rest of the world.
Bill has judge and jury. Just make a note. Humera is definitely more than welcome on the UK and the new UK show.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm the only guy who's been banned, but I've been banned from other shows.
Well, Branden, you certainly know who you're going to be helping out with the travel arrangements, and it's not Nick.
No, I don't have to worry
No,
about
no,
sending
you
him
can
to
help
the
me out, but
UK.
just make sure my flight goes to Paris. Send me
Can
to
I
Paris.
add
Make sure you have a
something?
layover in the
May
UK,
I add
just so that way you
something?
get a little bit.
Humera.
Yes, I was watching the podcast earlier when you were talking about traveling by train. And I just want to say that my parents, for my dad's like 70th birthday, my mom, she gifted him with a train ride in a very like a luxury train in India. And it went to like Jodhpur and all these like really nice places. And they actually, one of the people that was on their train with them was the CEO of Travelocity. So that also ties in with your travel show. So they they really became friends because they were with the same group of people for like a week. And they were treated like royalty, like they had all kinds of people hand and foot. So the trains in India, like the luxury trains, are supposed to be phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, train travel's the way to go. I mean, I'll say that till the cows come home. I love traveling by train. It's just always more comfortable and luxurious. I always will go by train.
And I concur. When I was in Italy, all I did was I took the trains around Italy, and then we took cabs when we're in the city, and of course flights, and that was it. But the thing is, we never took the cars. And in Great Britain, I would never take a car because they don't have highways. They charge you for everything they go, and they have 2-lane dirt roads. So forget that. It's always going to be trains, or you're going to you fly and you take trains, you take cabbies, but. No, you don't want to do that. There we go. There's a beautiful.
It's funny you guys say that because the last train trip I did, which was, and I want to do it again, which this train trip was back in the 90s because of reasons I couldn't fly back then due to I was on oxygen. So speaking of Nick, speaking of Colorado and trains, we landed up taking the train from Branden to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I was so young, but apparently it was an interesting trip. But I would like to do it again. I would love to skip a plane and do a train, especially now. I mean, TSA and me do not get along. So I think if I eliminate the plane aspect, I think that's going to be a little bit easier than TSA.
Presidential.
Oh, I like the Maharaja Express. I mean, this will work for me and Kit. We take this around.
I actually love it.
Keeping in mind the royal theme and panoramic theme. This suite stretches length of entire cart and area is 448 square feet. Presidential suite comes with interconnected cabins and can accommodate up to 4 guests, offering them an unparalleled stay to indulge in Maharaja style fancies.
I'm just wondering where we eat.
It has a dining table with inlay work and hand painted beautiful chairs. Well-equipped carved jali work writing table, emphasizing on relaxed formality. As you see on the back of the door, is fire exit plan for emergencies. Next comes artifacts, very carefully chosen to enhance the beauty of this suite. Huge windows are decorated with beautiful blinds, which enable you to view country's rich culture and diversity. Inlaid work furniture with hand painting adds to the elegance of this suite. Special feature of this suite is roof. Cornice is hand painted with floral motifs, decorative panels, and along with intricate jali work on wood, on ceiling, makes It's really classy. Luxurious sofa with silk cushions is placed along the window to get panoramic views while relaxing. Master bedroom. Huge antique cherrywork art piece on the wall is giving the real feel of royal bedroom. This suite has state-of-art facilities like television, DVD player, Wi-Fi, internet, to name a few, to keep you entertained throughout the journey. Chair, which itself is a piece of art, is there if you want to sit window side. Two huge windows with blinds are there so that you can have view of this beautiful country. Back.
I just have to interject here a little bit. I just want to rant a little bit about trains. So I have to say that trains are definitely a luxury form of travel, and a good way to do it, a good way to travel. No matter what country you're in, it's smoother. It's gonna be usually a more pleasant ride. You're gonna have better service. But the theory of this. And I'm gonna blow your minds. I missed the travel show this week, so I'm just dropping tips into Podcaster Thursday. Bill did such a nice job of covering for me while I kind of live chatted in. But my tip, I guess, here now we're talking about trains, would be that when you're traveling, if you're not on a tight schedule, because trains are much less likely to be on time than airlines or than cars where you can control the time schedule. Not quite as bad as like a sailboat, but you're going to have more schedule inconsistencies on a train. So if you can take the time to travel, if you can spend 4 days getting there on a train, you're always going to have a better experience than spending 10 hours getting there on an airplane, because time is money. That's your secret travel hack right there.
But Branden, I'll tell you about this train basically. So this train is like a 7-day, 10-day, 15-day journey, and it starts from Delhi and it ends to Delhi, after covering a lot of areas in India. Yeah. And you just have to...
It's the cruise ship of trains. It's a destination of itself.
That might have been the train my parents went on. It was something like that. It was like a luxury train. Yeah.
So we just have two luxury trains with different routes, and that's what it is. We offer, and we run it in a very, very, very concise manner with limited seats.
That's not the sort of train they went on when they conceived you, though, was it, Humera? Just going back to what you said earlier. That's not the sort of train. That's not the sort of train they went on when they conceived you, was it?
No, they were on land. They weren't on a train.
Ben,
I really don't know exactly where they were. I just know they were in Coventry, England.
Humera, Ben wants to do a whole show based on that, so let's give him a little time.
Yeah, it's the first UK show. That is it. You've got it.
Be the first UK show. I don't know what we're going to do with this.
Wonderful. So the train journeys are very popular in India. I mean, there are different journeys in train, but I think India is one of the biggest train network around the world. If you talk about how many people commute train on daily basis, the number goes like more than 2 to 3 million people. Travel from train every day. So that's what we have in India. I mean, maybe more than that, because a lot of people travel for their work and all those things, and then from east to west, north to south, there are multiple trains going around. I don't have the number, but we have like 500 or maybe more than stations around India. The railway stations we have. So that's what the network is here. But thanks to Ben, because a lot of them work done during the British era, and after that we just extended it.
Trains now in the UK are too dear. So to be honest, yeah, it is. It's too dear, and unfortunately, we have very greedy train owners. Obviously, it's not the national rail network no more; it's all privatised, and unfortunately, we've got greedy owners. And of course, we're back to Nick's famous comment about it being a foggy island. That's not helping. The fact that trains are unaffordable is not helping. It's unaffordable to the local. Just to pop up to Birmingham, which is about half an hour, 45 minutes in the car for us. It's about the same on the train. So there's no actual difference. But if you're going to pay a £10 petrol fee to get to Birmingham, or it's 30 quid to take the family on the train, a lot of families can't afford 30 quid for a day out. They do that. They can't eat out. They can't have a drink. So unfortunately, our train service is shocking at the moment, and it's down to cost and the service you get. Because you locked on.
No, that's really good to know, Ben, because our plan was to have the IBM TV Awards not in Great Britain, but in India, where the trains run and they have a palace called Smoti Palace, really nice palace, and we'll have our IBM TV Awards there in India. But Great Britain, we had them on the list. We have a long list. Somebody has to be on the bottom, Ben. Somebody has to be on the bottom. Just remember that.
Are those the only two places on the list? India and Great Britain?
Well, the thing is, it'd be better to have our award ceremony in India than Great Britain. You get palaces. You can rent palaces over in India. You get to take the Maharaja Express in India. Over there, you tell me, and they have good food in India. All hit the checkbox. Over there, bad food. Can't take trains. Foggy little island. So, naturally, I think we're going to end up the IBM TV Awards will be in India this year as opposed to Great Britain, which is on the list somewhere toward the bottom. But if you can make arguments in favor of being Great Britain someday, some century, let us know, and we will see if you guys can move up the list of it. Oh, also, you're Brexiting. You're not, you just told the world you don't want anything to do with them. So, what are we supposed to do? We'll go to India, Humera, and we have this beautiful palace called Smoti Palace. I'm going to see if I can show it to you. They filmed there. PBS did a big film there, a big television series. You know the television series they had, Ann Kit?
Beecham House, you're talking about Beecham House?
Yeah, Beecham House. Yeah, Beecham House. It was actually filmed in Smoti Palace, and it's just an absolutely drop-dead gorgeous place. And I'll see if I can go pull it up in just a minute so I can show you that. And then we can show you the difference between that and what they have over in Great Britain. And you'll see there's no comparison. And we'll talk to Branden about he's our travel expert. He can tell us where we should really go. Okay, Branden, Great Britain or India?
Be careful, Branden.
You can't ask me to pick. You can't ask me to pick. So here's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you that, and I could be wrong because I've just been told this by locals places. So you'll have to correct me, panel. But chicken tikka masala is a British invention of an Indian dish. So I would say that if you're looking for Indian food in the UK, chicken tikka masala is the way to go because it's a British spin on kind of a classic Indian dish. But I certainly couldn't compare the two travel-wise. I mean, we were just talking in private chat, Ben, a little bit about. I think the UK is underrated for travel destinations. I mean, there's a lot of great cities in the UK. I spent like 3 months, about a year ago, actually. About a year ago, this last month, I would have arrived in Glasgow, going just all around the UK. And everybody goes to London, and nobody really goes anywhere else. But Exeter's beautiful, and you got Birmingham, Manchester's beautiful. Glasgow's beautiful. Of course, that's, I guess UK, not necessarily Great Britain. But, there's so many wonderful cities in the UK to visit that are underrated. And I think the thing about India that people don't think about when they travel is that the food in India is so good. I mean, I could do
very rich
a whole
too.
Show.
Very rich.
Yes, I could do a whole show on how much I love the food in India. So I would say probably, they might have that ahead of you, Ben. They might have the food ahead of you.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough because I do. I'm very cultural at food. I love food and taste it, but I like to eat it properly and not gorge it down like Nick seems to. But Ankit and Humera, Indian food, you say it's very rich. Is it healthy?
I mean, it depends how you prepare it. My mom, she cooks Indian food daily here at my home, and she actually incorporates ingredients that are healthier. And it's just how you prepare it. You can choose to make it healthier if you want to. Yeah. I mean, you can substitute like heavy cream for maybe like a lighter cream, things like that. Cut out the fat and meats.
Is food a major issue in India? I mean, in the UK, it is constantly, we've got to eat healthy, we've got to eat healthy. We do have a a bulging problem in the UK. Do you have that over in India, or is it not such a major issue? Is it because the government's picked it up in the UK? You see, as quite an issue. He's back again. Go on, Humera. I'll let you go first before Nick comes in.
Well, in India, the thing is, it depends on what part of India you're going to, because the cuisine is so different in the north than it is in the south. Like, I'm from Hyderabad, India, and there they do vegetable thalis, they do more vegetarian dosas, idli. Idli is very healthy. It's like a boiled rice. And I know most of the food that you get at Indian restaurants in America, at least, are northern Indian cuisine. So that's more rich. They have more creams, and they have like, they have like puris, and it just depends. I mean, you can find healthy options anywhere, and you can find unhealthy options anywhere. It's how you choose what you choose to eat.
I have to interject and say I think I have to agree. It's hard to classify Indian food because it is a big country full of a lot of people that are very, very diverse. So you do get a lot of very, very different styles of dishes. So it's hard to say. But overall, I think anywhere in India that you get food, no matter where you're at, I would take that over fish and chips most days, unless I'm like hungover.
Yeah.
There was actually a study or something done that found that some of the spices that they use in Indian cuisine is addictive. Like, you become addicted to
turmeric. I've heard turmeric is supposed to be addictive.
Maybe. I don't know which spices, but there are.
I've heard that. I don't know if that's true.
You guys are saying that India is pushing drugs.
No.
Nick is saying that English food,
it's like an acquired taste. You just love it so much, you just want to eat more and more.
Okay, we're going to have to resolve this somehow, and I think we might want to begin with Nick and Ankit talking about International Peace Day. What do we know about that, fellas?
Oh, International Peace Day that's coming up. We're actually going to be one of the host television shows for International Peace Day, and that's on this Monday, the 21st. The whole day, all of our program will be devoted to International Day of Peace. It was actually started by the United Nations 40 years ago. We're going to have most of the filming time except from 11 to 1. We've been taken over by celebrities. Michael Douglas, Leonardo DiCaprio, Stevie Wonder, and Ringo Starr are going to be taking the 11 to 1 slot. So you guys, we can't be on those slots. But we'll be right afterwards, and then they're going to take over on a rebroadcast from 7 to 9. But the rest of the time is ours. So anything that has to do with international peace, we certainly can bring forward and talk about. And so that will be that'll be this Monday. Maybe we will stop our war against Great Britain just for one day, But don't expect that to last more than just one day. But that's International Peace Day coming up. Ankit, what do you have to say?
I will just run the Peace Day before we.
Yeah, and I believe it's one of our own that created it.
International Day of Peace, that was actually started by the United Nations. As a matter of fact, we even have a whole commercial on it, which we'll bring to you.
In 1981, the United Nations established the International Day of Peace on September 21st, a day for us all to pause our busy lives, take a breath, look at our neighbors, and to be at peace. A day to celebrate our differences, to hug our neighbors. A day to celebrate humanity on this vast planet. In 2020, we need this moment more than ever. A moment of respite from the fighting, conflicts, and chaos we're all going through. Join us live on IBM TV on September 21st from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time to take a moment to celebrate our differences and join together in our virtual community for the International Day of Peace.
Now that sounded like a really, really, really familiar voice. And looking around, I think we found him. Right?
I have no idea whose voice that was and what commercial. It's a really great commercial. I have no idea who did it, but somehow we were able to get it, and that was pretty cool. But we play it all the time. That's for the International Day of Peace coming up.
I believe it was a lullaby from our travel expert, Branden.
No way.
I think so. I'm not sure. We can confirm, Branden. You're not under.
That's an Agatha Christie novel right there. You'll never know
if you need to.
all the different commercials came from. There's like 6 or 7 of them, and they're all just mysteriously appeared one day.
Well, you can say you neither admit nor deny. The making of that
See,
commercial.
I need a lawyer here. Yeah. No, I'm it was a good time. Excited to celebrate the day. I think we have a lot of great content planned. So I'm excited to see the day, see the stream. I think it's going to be a great day to celebrate.
It'll be interesting, and we have another one also. Just a minute.
Peace. Wow.
Peace. What does it mean to me?
I am a big proponent of world peace.
Peace is compassion, empathy, understanding.
What are you willing to do for peace?
Peace is
the ability to see the positive side of every experience and realize that no matter what happens, it helps you grow to become the best version of you.
Peace means serenity to me. When I love myself more, I can love others better.
Peace is the highest goal of our species.
And that's also on IBM TV. So all of Monday is going to be devoted to the International Day of Peace. And I don't know about these guys, Michael Douglas, Ringo Starr, Leonardo DiCaprio. All I know is they're movie people, you know, and I don't know if they're well known outside of the United States or not. Ringo Starr I've heard of because he came from the other side of the pond. You know, and yeah,
Ringo.
He was an export from Liverpool. And then they sent him over here for a while. And then I think we sent him back. So I think he lives back over there. But yeah, so we're going to do International Day of Peace.
Ben, you know, Willie was asking me about yesterday's match. Ben?
Sorry, mate. You broke up then.
What match? Tell us about the match I need to know about, Ankit.
So there was a cricket match between Australia and England yesterday.
No,
Australia?
Australia and England. Yeah.
Oh, they're the big cricket team.
You keep breaking up, sir. I can't quite get what you're saying.
Okay, who's cricket team? I'll translate. Tell me what happened in cricket, Ankit.
Oh, no.
So basically, Australia won and England lost.
Oh, Australia won and England lost?
All right.
Yeah, okay. Let's broadcast this. You know, so everybody understands. Australia won, right, mate? Yep. England lost.
What was the score?
And since Ben has a hard time hearing you, I'll say it a little louder so Ben can hear us. England lost. Hello, no. Ben. Can you hear me? England lost.
Well, I guess the question is, Willie, how do you feel about being number one over Ben?
Yeah, the winner.
No, I didn't see that bit. I was looking the other side.
Oh, okay. But you won, so you're a winner today.
Yeah. Well, it just shows you the Australians can beat England in their sleep. So Willie's falling asleep, and they still beat England, you know? And it's one of England's favorite four-letter words, lost. L-O-S-T.
He really is not trying to get onto this UK show at all, is he, guys? I mean, and girls. I mean, you know, he's not really helping himself, is he?
No, actually, no, he's not. But you know,
Willie was tactful. Willie was tactful. I like that, Willie.
Yeah, Willie is very tactful, but you know, we're the great United States of America. Remind you, the world's largest economy. Not that I want to remind you.
Have you got the little piece video I sent over to you, sir? Let's change the subject rather quickly.
Oh, he's got another clip.
Have you got the clip I sent across to you?
Wait, let's see if we do have a clip on that. Do we? We have
which
200 days apiece.
On which part? I will find. While we're in a lull, I will take this moment because I do have to admit, just for integrity's sake, my car is a sports car that I've had completely rebuilt, and it is an Austin Healey Sprite, so it is an import from Britain. It is a tiny little car, and it is a convertible, and I love it. And it does go on dirt roads, and Ben, can I use cheeky? Can I use that as a compliment?
Of course you can, Bill. That's fantastic. Bill, you were number one on the list anyway, Bill. So, no problem.
Hey, but notice tiny little car on dirt road.
But
And he loves it.
Nick.
I didn't say it. He said it.
No,
I'm
Nick,
an innocent man. I am the messenger, repeating what Bill said.
If size is important to you, Nick, we all understand it's not an issue. Some things, sweet. What does they say? Sweet things come in small packages. And Bill, your car must be really, really sweet.
Yeah, we have big American cars.
And I'll tell you something about the car. Basically, India, they manufacture the world's cheapest car, which is under $2,000. Do you know about that?
No.
Is it Tata?
Yeah.
Is it Tata?
Tata
Yeah.
Tata.
What do you use?
So that car costs 1 lakh rupees, which is like 100,000 rupees Indian rupees 100,000, which is close to $2,000.
Well, that may be cheaper, but I talked to Willie. They have even a cheaper form of transportation. There's only $500. You get on the back of a Roo. You get back on the kangaroo and just hop around. So they don't need cars over in Australia, mate. They just grab the latest kangaroo, get on top of it, and hop around.
Is that private service that Nick's talking about? Is that called Roober?
Roober?
Yeah. Get on a Roo. Uber, Nick.
Roober? Roober in Australia? Hey, mate, do they have Roober in Australia? Is that how you get around? You hop on the kangaroo?
Yep. We don't have Uber. We have Ruber.
I was just wondering, because the thing is how you get around down there. Yeah, but my preference, Ankit, is take that Maharaja train. I like that. Samoti Palace, I like that. The 5-star stuff. And I just got Branden to get me it for the cheapest possible price. In other words, get it very low. So we just got to figure out how we can do that at IBM TV. And then we'll have our IBM TV awards in Samoti Palace in India. Well, as soon as this COVID-19 thing stops, we heard today from the CDC, who was it? The CDC, they said, the guy who was ahead of it said, we're not looking toward any real relief till third quarter next year, 2021. Did you hear that, Bill?
Yeah, it was in the morning report. Nick.
Really? Yeah, well, I missed the morning report because I had to go grab some money, believe it or not.
Well, then briefly, I'll just help you.
Wait a minute. We missed the morning report?
No,
you might be taking a Roober over to your trip to India if you want to do the IBM TV Awards there, because the October 1st deadline for those airlines is coming up.
True. But see, I have the
hope your
power.
kangaroos can swim.
I have the power not to miss the morning report, which I'm addicted to.
From IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, this is your report from Washington. There are 47 days left until the presidential election. There are 99 days left until Christmas in the United States, but first, we have to get through Halloween. Snow let it begin. He said no, then he said no, then he said, and then Biden said. The director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Robert Redfield, testified at a congressional hearing that a vaccine would not be available until late this year or early 2021, and that any vaccinations would not be available for distribution to the general public until the summer of 2021. Then Trump predicted that a vaccine could be ready next month, meaning 2 weeks from now, and be in mass distribution thereafter, undermining Dr. Redfield's testimony. Trump then called Dr. Redfield confused. Trump also disputed Dr. Redfield's testimony that a mask was more effective than any vaccine. Trump, at his press conference, then said he intended to call Dr. Redfield to tell him. Then, the Center for Disease Control issued a statement announcing that Dr. Redfield indeed was confused. Then, Joe Biden said that he trusts what scientists say about a potential vaccine, but not Trump. As for the actual vaccination plan, people will need 2 doses, 21 to 28 days apart. Double-dose vaccines will have to come from the same pharmaceutical company. Mass vaccinations will take weeks, if not months. Initially, the focus will be on healthcare workers and people in vulnerable groups. The vaccine itself will be paid for by billions of dollars in taxpayer funding approved by Congress. In other news, India has added more than 1 million cases this month and is expected to become the worst hit country within weeks, surpassing the United States. India reported 90,123 new cases in the past 24 hours. India also reported that over 1,290 people died in the past 24 hours for a total death of 82,066, which is third in the world. From the Not So Fast column, the president of the European Union's executive arm said Wednesday that the United Kingdom cannot unilaterally change the bilateral Brexit agreement without destroying global trust in the UK. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told EU lawmakers that plans by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to renege on parts of the UK-EU withdrawal agreement is simply Britain throwing its good name to the wind. Quote, "It cannot be unilaterally changed, disregarded. This is a matter of law and trust and good faith," end quote. Invariably twisting the knife, the EU leader quoted Margaret Thatcher when Thatcher said, quote, "Britain does not break treaties. It would be bad for Britain, bad for our relations with the rest of the world, and bad for any future treaty on trade," end quote. In business, the Federal Reserve announced that their benchmark short-term interest rate will likely remain at zero at least through 2023. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said that the job market is still hurting and the outlook is uncertain. Quote, "We will not lose sight of the millions of Americans that remain out of work," end quote, Powell said. Federal policymakers hope an extended period of low interest rates will encourage more borrowing and spending, though their policy also carries the risk of inflating a bubble in stocks or other financial assets. Finally, the current COVID death toll from Johns Hopkins University is over 196,752 American souls lost and 939,427 global souls lost with no end in sight. That is your report for this day, September 17th, 2020, from IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, smart television for a smarter global community, from dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'm Bill Trezevant.
Happy International Peace Day.
You said first.
Happy International Peace Day, IBM TV and all over the UK.
Thank you for joining us at IBM TV for International Peace Day. From Great Britain, we'll want to wish you peace.
Peace.
That includes you, Nick. You're included in that, Nick. Okay.
Well, I thought that was really good, and I thought it was good of Bill to let us know about the treaty breaking process that's going on over there. I thought that was just really good. You know, we'll see how that lasts, because from my understanding, when you create treaties, you're not supposed to break them where they have no real authority, and so I can't imagine any country that would actually do that. You know, so but we'll
anyway, is there a sponsor on here that needs to have a takeover?
Yes, there is. There is.
We do have a sponsor. That's really good. Just in time to segue. It's always good to make money and save money. We have Lynn Shepard from the Family Dollar Store, our sponsor. Lynn, tell us what's going on at the Family Dollar Store. We have to bridge the gap between us and Great Britain. We have one day of peace coming, which is next Monday. But in the meantime, all days are good days to save money at the Family Dollar Store.
Absolutely. So it's actually there is a brick and mortar entity that owns a lot of stores called the Family Dollar Store. Ours is actually family.dollarstore.com. We're an online store. So we're not related to them, but you don't even need to know what the name of our store is really. All you have to do is go to IBM TV, click on the big round green button, push it, and you'll get to the store and you can start ordering stuff. And why would you want to do that? Well, there are lots of reasons. We have lots of products, over 4,300 products. And they're a lot less expensive than you're going to pay to buy the same products at brick and mortar stores, okay? But at the same time, because we're a sponsor of Money Masters PBS, which the mission for Money Masters PBS is to basically cut the gap between poverty and financial sustainability by providing financial education that results in financial fitness. Okay. When you purchase from our online dollar store, you're supporting Money Masters PBS. And as many people know, there are 5 aspects of financial fitness. And the first one is saving money. And the 5th one is by paying forward. So you can pay forward by supporting Money Masters PBS by purchasing on the dollar store where you're saving money. And you can do items 2, 3, and 4 at the same time, because if you're saving up, when you save money, you should be investing it. That's number 2. And when you save enough money and invest it, you have money left over that you continue to invest after you pay for your expenses. But then number 4, you need to be able to pay for your taxes, and you're still going to have money left over to pay forward. So as Bill is probably going to tell me, because I could see him getting ready to, our products are quality products. We have lots of name brand products from places like Johnson & Johnson, Fisher Price, lots of kids stuff. So as Kimberly would like to say if she were here, if you know somebody who's going to have children or have a baby, you can send them just a package of very quality products for the baby, and you're going to save a lot more money than you would have if you had gone out to the brick and mortar store to shop. But here's the other thing you can do. And I know, Bill, you were going to ask this question.
Yes.
And why did you ask it? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, given everything that's going on in the world, the turmoil, the destruction, the hurricanes, the fires, is there a way for someone to send an eye care package using your family dollar store?
Well, since you last asked me the question, there's been another, and that is Hurricane Sally.
Right.
So when we were talking about what was happening in California with the fires, or in Louisiana, Lake Charles, with hurricane, it's been so many hurricanes I can't even remember the name anymore. But now we have Hurricane Sally, which hit Florida, and is now running through South Carolina. Because my wife deals with a lot of interpreters, and she was just talking to an interpreter that's saying with Sally is now coming tornadoes, and this lady is afraid to go to her assignment to do interpretation because of the tornadoes in South Carolina. So what you can do in answer to your question, and Willie can do this in Melbourne, even though we don't deliver to Melbourne. Hopefully one of these days that we will be able to. And Ankit and Humera can do this from India. Ben can do it from England. You can become customers, and you can order from the store and have it shipped to people to organizations that are really supporting the people who need help in these areas. So, Bill, I'm glad you suggested that, because we can ship anywhere in the United States, and we've had three very, very significant events happen. Well, not just California, but Oregon and Washington. And when I saw the map of where all the fires are basically New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Montana, and Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. I mean, all the western states, all the states basically which are west of the Rocky Mountains. Well, or cut by the Rocky Mountains. So that's a lot of states that are having these fires, and the disasters are so sad. So, Bill, what did I forget?
Well, first, the masks, because now they're more important than ever for both
the masks,
as well as the fires and the winds and the smoke out in the western states. Yes.
So we have masks, and I did. Now you reminded me, Bill. It must be age because I forget things.
No, you're wise.
I'm sorry. What?
No, you're very wise. Don't mind me. And it's not your age.
Well, see, I like to link up with people who can remind me about things I forget. So we ship for free for orders of $25 or more. So our masks, we have 25 masks. Okay, I mean 50 masks for $25. So all you have to do is order one box of masks, and everything else you order, all of it, including the masks, are going to be shipped for free right to your doorstep. So these masks are just like the surgical masks. They're 3-ply. They're over 90% effective, and they're disposable. Although I have heard that if you actually put them in the sunlight will kill any of the viruses that are in the mask. Now, you do know that if you put the blue on the outside, you're being protected, or not, rather, you're protecting people from you. And if you put the blue on the inside, you're being protected from the people on the outside. But masks, I'm sort of baffled by all the arguments about whether masks work or don't work, and whether social distancing works or doesn't work. I heard a report this morning that at a wedding in Maine, as a result of people not social distancing, not wearing masks, over 250 people have contracted COVID, and over 7 people who didn't even attend the wedding, who got it from the people who did attend the wedding. 7 people have passed away. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense. I lost my grandmother in 1918 from the Spanish flu, and her brother-in-law, they were in 2 different states, also died within the same week. And how did we as a country combat the really rampant spread? We socially distanced in 1918, and we wore masks. So it worked then. Why shouldn't it work now? But now the last thing.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's not the last thing, but everybody who shops needs to join the Minion Napkin Club.
That's right.
It's Kimberly Calhoun's club that she started. She's the head of the club. She loves Minion napkins. We have them on the store, and everybody needs to get them. So that's it, folks.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic, and we certainly encourage. First of all, we appreciate your support here at IBM TV. It's with commitment and sponsors like yourself that we're able to do fantastic work, which is to bring those programs that would not normally see the light of day to the world. So it's quality programming for a smarter world. And on behalf of IBM TV, I want to thank you, Lynn. And it is always a pleasure. And
it is, Bill.
I will be your sidekick any day of the week, reminding you, talking out here, sliding you notes. Look, we'll keep through life together if you don't mind.
Oh no, absolutely. Well, we will have fun. Isn't that part of what's so great about IBM TV and some of these shows? Is we can joke around, we can have fun. It's I enjoy it. I mean, Branden, you have a great show. I wish I could devote my day to watching IBM TV because of all the great information, all the great people, and all the great shows. And one of the benefits, and I have to honestly say this, one of the benefits to me is all the great people that I meet and have met. People like Ankit, and now Humera, who's new, and Branden, who's new, and Bill, you're sort of semi-new. But people from all over the world. My favorite is Ben because he loves me when I come on. So he's the head of the Lynn Shepherd fan club, which apparently is headquartered now outside of London. Didn't realize that, but that's okay. you know, I've met Okechukwu, who's from Africa, from Nigeria, from Lagos. I'm sorry.
Okuchukwu had a birthday yesterday, and we didn't know about it, so we could wish Okuchukwu happy birthday.
But I wished him happy birthday because he and I are friends on Facebook. So, and he's also a customer, by the way, because people from outside of the United States all know people in the United States. Aunt Kit's sister lives 20 miles away from me. Okay. And his brother.
I'm also a new customer. I ordered yesterday from your store.
Oh, I haven't looked at my store. Well, Humera, thank you. So
You're welcome.
I'm going to send you $5 more of gift tokens.
Thank you.
So there you go.
May I give you some advice regarding your memory? If you sniff rosemary oil every morning, just sniff it once, it improves your memory by 85%.
Rosemary oil? 85%.
If you just in the morning, just sniff it, just for a second.
I'm going to give you my email address because you're going to have to email it to me because between now and the time that I go downstairs, I won't remember it. But
I will because I do sniff the rosemary oil.
What were we talking about? I can't remember.
Oh, no. It's about learning and growing together. Now, rosemary oil.
Yeah, no, rosemary oil. But that's I will try that. Actually, I do have a pretty good memory, so you know, it's Actually, that's my brother from another mother. We have the same birthdays. Okay. Although I have to ask him to remind me when it is. So it is apparently the 7th. What month? 7th of June. Good. I got it. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was just absolutely fantastic. And the rosemary oil, where would our viewers begin to look for rosemary oil?
Oh, it's available everywhere, even on you can go to most even a drugstore like Walgreens or online, probably Amazon. I mean, it's just the rosemary oil. It's an essential oil, and you can get it anywhere.
Okay, so besides sniffing it, does it carry the same properties if you put it in your tea?
No, I don't think you're supposed to ingest it. I think it's just and they said even when you just take a little sniff, it's not. And then there's other oils that do other things too. Like I put jasmine oil on, and what that does is it uplifts the mood and relieves anxiety. So especially when I'm around a lot of people, I might start feeling anxious. I start smelling it. I just feel happy again. And then, I mean, there's different oils that do different things.
Okay.
Interesting. So we have CBD products on the online dollar store, and some of them do similar kinds of things. But in here I thought I was doing pretty well because every morning I'll get up and I'll sniff a little bit of Malbec red wine or Pinot Noir because I thought people said that helps.
I didn't know that. I'm going to try that too. First, I'm going to rosemary oil just to remember to go and do the sniff of a good Malbec. You know,
there you go. Good.
Worsh it around. Branden, have you tried that on your travels?
You know, I don't usually do oils and all this kind of stuff. Traveling with liquids is tough, so I definitely avoid that when I can. But hey, if you're in Paris, you might be having a nice wine at 8 a.m. You never know.
Branden, what's your favorite country you've been to? You probably get asked that all the time.
I do, and that's a hard question to answer. I think it depends on a lot of different things. I really liked Colombia. I have to say, Colombia was pretty high on the list. It was beautiful. Yes, well, a lot of beautiful people, but a beautiful country. I mean, great things to see and do. And a lot of great food, and everyone there is very kind, and it's just a really nice place to visit. I spent about a month there last summer and went to a couple different cities. It's if you're going to go somewhere, Latin America is overlooked. Everybody goes to Europe. I've specialized a lot in Europe, but Ecuador is beautiful. Brazil is beautiful. Colombia is beautiful. So I would have to say Colombia is probably pretty high on the list.
You know, it's interesting. I've been to Ecuador several times, and I actually drove from Quito out to the coast and to the Esmeralda province. And it's sort of interesting. If you've driven from the Sierras in California out to the coast in California, you come down and you come through a very fertile valley. And of course, that we get a lot of our produce from either the Sacramento Valley or the San Joaquin Valley. And then you go up over the coastal mountains and you come out at the ocean. Well, when you come out of the Andes, it's exactly the same kind of thing. You come through the fertile valley where you have date palms and banana trees and stuff, and then you go up over the coastal mountains and you're right there at the Pacific. And it was really very similar. However, some of the towns are not quite the same because they don't have paved roads through some of the towns.
They don't have them in Great Britain either.
That's okay. I was going to say that then a car from England would do very, very well, Nick.
Cars from England would do well over there, Lynn. Yeah, but, hey, Branden, maybe you should put a list of your top 10 countries to visit, because when you said that, all of a sudden Colombia went high on my list as to where to go to after COVID-19, because I'm always looking for places to visit, travel, and with IBM TV I can visit, travel, and write off, which is really important. So the thing is, I'm going to add Colombia to my list because it's not that far, from RDU or even from.
It's a cheap flight because you can hop down to somewhere like Miami and catch a $200 flight there. So places in Latin America are often overlooked. We've done a lot of. I'm sure Bill could speak to that. We've done a lot of meddling in some of their governments and their countries over our history. So
we do that all the time.
We don't think of it as a tourist.
We learned that from Great Britain.
We did. We don't think of it.
Even if Ben's not here, forget it, Ben. Okay, we learned all the tricks from Great Britain, meddling in other people's countries.
Yeah. You don't find Colombian restaurants that often. That's why it was interesting that you said that Colombian food's really good.
Yeah, you don't. That's true. No, Colombian restaurants. I mean, kind of anywhere across that spread, right along the equator, Colombia, Ecuador, kind of northern Brazil, you're going to find a similar type of food. It's just more specific as to what they put in it. So there's a big difference between like empanadas from like Argentina and empanadas from Colombia and empanadas from Brazil, even though they're all empanadas.
Yeah, Jorge, who sits on our board of directors, is actually from Bogota, and his good friend is actually the president of Colombia. So I think what we can do is we can actually. Yeah, we're connected, Humera. Okay, so the thing is, what we can do is I could talk to Jorge. We'll go down to Bogota and we'll have an IBM TV festival and meet the president and do whatever you do when you meet a president of a country. Which
there we go. Well, we should have him on my show a couple times. We can talk about
Jorge,
some of the tourism aspects of Colombia.
Okay, yeah, no, Jorge and Scarlett have been good friends. I've gone down to Miami. We've filmed together and stuff like that. Scarlett, who's his fiance, is actually going to be sponsoring an AR/VR show on IBM TV, artificial reality, virtual reality. So we certainly I'll talk to them and see if I can bring them over to your show on the travel show to display Colombia. I didn't know that was on the travel list, but
tourism there is a big thing.
So I'm going to ask the people, the panel here. I think Branden will know this, but does anybody know where the Panama hats are made?
China?
Pakistan or Vietnam. They're made. I think they're made in Pakistan or Vietnam.
No.
I think they're made in Ecuador.
Ecuador. Bill is right. Bill is absolutely right.
I know they're not made in. I know they're not made in Panama. Okay, but I didn't know they're made in Ecuador. Very good.
Now you know they're made in Ecuador, and so that's a win for me, Nick.
That is true, right?
And although this has been a while ago, I've also had the opportunity, because of the people that I know who are in Quito, to meet a couple of the former presidents of Ecuador.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, but now Ecuador, unfortunately, has had a president that's done the same thing that the president of Venezuela did. He came in actually as the popular person to be elected. I'm going to change the government, and he did. He changed the constitution down there, so he's a lifetime president now.
Oh, really? Okay, good for him. Good for him.
Not good for them.
Dictatorships are very efficient.
Oh no!
I mean,
no,
I'm totally in favor of it. I think that's a great idea. Hopefully, we'll get him on our show, American Politics, and hopefully he's going to do a good job for us.
I would welcome him on the show. We do a great job, but Nick, it's unfair. We only have like a minute and a half left, and then you bring up the debate. Knowing that
there was no debate. I didn't say this is going to be a debate. I just made a factual statement that dictatorships are efficient. And I think there's a study on it. Oh, here it is on ssrn.com that shows they're more efficient than democracies. Democracies are, not very efficient, but people tend to like them for some reason. They feel like they're participating. But we'll have that debate at a later time on American Politics. Dictatorship or democracy? Go dictatorship.
Okay, well, listen, I'm tipping my Panamanian hat towards you in a gesture in honor of International Peace Day, Nick. On another day.
Okay. Well, we have to have that debate. I mean, come on, and I'll be more than happy to represent the dictators of the world, and give them some love that they so richly desire. And yes, we're at the 2-minute warning.
Yes.
And Gamers Den is up next on IBM TV, highly watched, and I even have some guy who's a big gamer who is going to be on probably next week. I'm sending to the producers. He just emailed me, but we're going to have to leave here. Podcast Thursday because it's 1:00 and we're out of here.
Bye.
Hey, buddy.